discuss that. And that goes along with Matt Verderam ranking the top 5 interior offensive line groups in the NFL. And not oddly, but obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs show up in that, which is sort of that interesting part of the tackles on the Chiefs and the offensive line and how they're viewed across the league, and the interior of the Chiefs offensive line and how they are viewed across the league. So we'll get into that part of the conversation at some point. What are the breakout candidates for the Chiefs? ESPN listed a breakout candidate for every single NFL team. Who do they list for the Kansas City Chiefs, and who do we think should be on that list? Are there multiple people on that list? Who would we choose as the most likely breakout candidate? We'll get into some of that. College football coming up in the noon hour. We will talk about what success looks like for the 3 local teams. What is a successful season for K-State, KU, and Mizzou? Went through Big 12 Media Days last couple of days. Todd has returned safely, and everybody was wondering and certainly curious and worried about that. But no, he returned safely from Dallas.
I'm always worried about Lebo.
I always tell people, it's like, hey, travel safe. It's like, yep, I'll let the pilot know. I'll pass along that.
Hey, my mom told me to travel safe. So if you can make that happen,
hey,
pilot, thank you.
Yeah, Mister. Hey, ma'am. As we're up in the air, could you be safe? My mom said travel safe, so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here because I don't have any control over the traveling safe. So I just want to make sure we're all good. So apparently they did travel safe. He is back, but the Big 12 Media Days last couple of days down in Dallas. SEC Media Days, SEC Extravaganza coming up, and Mizzou will be a part of that, and we'll hear from Eli Drinkwitz. What's that, next week? And we'll maybe get an update on Ahmad Hardy. We saw the video with Andy Hill and Drew Lock. We know that Nick Bolton is going into the Mizzou Athletics Hall of Fame. Now we know Andy Hill and Drew Lock are going into the Mizzou Athletics Hall of Fame. Pretty cool how Mizzou let those individuals know that they were going in. It was Andy Reid announcing it to Nick Bolton at practice. It was Drew Lock reading a letter to Andy Hill, and Drew Lock thinking that he was just telling Andy Hill, and then Andy Hill was there to read a letter to Drew Lock. Andy Hill thinking
it was actually T.I. No, who was? What was the song that he did? It was.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the reference is, man.
Survivor? No, that's Young Jeezy. I think it was Young Jeezy. You know him at the Broncos game when he's on the sideline and he's rapping.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
It was Young Jeezy.
It was put on by Young Jeezy.
Yeah, Young Jeezy. Yeah,
I put on for my city.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
that's
Young
right.
Jeezy gave it to Drew Lock. Is that what it was?
That's exactly what it was. Yes, but it was cool how they did that. It's like, hey, Drew, we want you to read this to Andy Hill to let him know he's going into the Mizzou Hall of Fame. Hey, Andy, we want you to be here with Drew because we want you to read this to let Drew know he's going into the Mizzou Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's so
and
cool.
It's just back and forth and like, oh my God. And you see him getting emotional and everything. So that was a pretty cool deal.
Hey, Jason.
Yes.
We'll let you know you're going to the Missouri Hall of Pretty Good.
Well, I didn't even go there.
No, well, the Northwest Missouri.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I killed it. Thank you very much. What?
No, you're going to the Hall of Pretty Good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Was I supposed to say something back? I didn't know how this worked.
No.
Michael, I just...
We're going to hang your 810 polo in the rafters.
Hell yeah. I appreciate that. No, the X106, that's what you got to hang in the rafters. Or the Raptors. The rafters. I'm not sure what the Raptors have to do with this. But we'll get into, in the noon hour, what success means for the local teams. We'll play a little sports or leisure today as well. I am curious as yesterday we took an off day from the World Cup, and we have talked so much World Cup over the last month or so, way more than I ever thought we would. You know, had an idea of what the World Cup would look like in Kansas City, what the attention would be, how much people would be excited by it, catching World Cup fever. And it started with Algeria showing up in Lawrence, and we saw that, and I'm like, that's a really cool story. And then worldwide, that started to get picked up as well. But we've had game after game after game. Like during the show, we'd be watching, soccer matches and every day. And then yesterday we take a day off and get ready for the Elite Eight, the quarterfinals. And it gets back underway today at 3 o'clock with France and Morocco. And I do wonder how much our interest level is there. Has it waned? Are we still excited about the World Cup? It's played on our home soil. We do have a game coming up on Saturday. There will be 3 teams waiting in the Final Four semifinals for when Argentina and Switzerland, when they kick off at Arrowhead, at GH Field, Kansas City Stadium. Is the interest and excitement around it still there? Has it waned? Because I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed. I knew the schedule, so I knew what the schedule was. So it wasn't like I woke up yesterday and went, all right, who's playing today, you know? I knew that there was not a game. But it was a little disappointing that I didn't get home and I can just sit back and watch a match in the World Cup. So that sort of told me that even with the U.S.'s embarrassing performance on Monday night and the fallout from that and the criticisms and everybody writing their essay presented by ChatGPT about what can the United States do to help get soccer going. Taylor Twellman, who we've had on in Tahoe every year, he's amazing. He was on with Seren yesterday. That was awesome. It's always good stuff from Taylor Twellman because he's always passionate about it. He's always interested in doing the interview. It's never just, well, let me just get through this interview.
Correct.
We had a couple of those at the Super Bowl that we talked about after the interview was over that, well, that was interesting. He didn't really want to be here at all. He's clearly just doing the rounds and getting paid to do this, and let me get it over with. But Taylor Twellman is so good, and he's opinionated, and he's got, ideas and information and things like that. So it was a really good interview. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it after the show is over, the Taylor Twellman interview. And we'll have best ofs and everything from the American Century Championships with Seren being there. So that was one that I was looking forward to hearing because of the performance on Monday. But I think yesterday and my excitement to watch France-Morocco today tells me that it's waned a little because how could it not? Because there's so much about the U.S., and can they get to the quarterfinals, face off against Spain, and quarterfinals is 100% success. Getting past the round of 16 for what, the second time ever where you actually had to win a game to get past the round of 16, and to be in that position was absolutely successful. Anything less than that would be whether it's a disappointment or depending on how they played. But I find myself excited for 3 o'clock today to be able to watch France and Morocco. So it's a little less, but I was disappointed yesterday, Sterling, that I didn't get to sit back and watch a soccer match, and today I'm pumped to watch it. So I found myself still having that higher level of interest and excitement for these 4 games over the next 3 days to then lead into the semifinal teams will be.
Yeah, I think you and I are pretty lockstep in that, where it was just such a wind out of the sails when the United States lost, especially the way they lost.
Yeah.
Just made it so I don't want to watch soccer for a little bit, and so maybe the off day was actually good, because then I'm like, okay, I don't have to think about the embarrassment for a day. Seeing France-Morocco, this game should be electric. This should be such a fun matchup. I think for me, I'm still intrigued. I'm still excited, but you're right. It's hard for it to not wane just a little bit. But I do liken it a little bit to March Madness, at least for me. I've always thought the same thing. The first round, especially, favorite.
Yeah.
Then round 2, awesome. And then Sweet 16 comes around and Elite. I'm like, all right, it's fine.
And you're like, why don't we have 15 games going on at once? Hold on.
Correct. It's almost like the excitement goes down, especially because as a Missouri fan, it's the United States, so we're out of it. So we're not watching our team anymore. And so you're like, oh, well, that dream's dead, and I guess I'll watch. And then the Final Four comes around, and now I'm back locked in.
But the U.S. played 5 games in this tournament, which is more than Mizzou's ever played in an NCAA tournament. But I'm just saying, just in general.
I think for me,
just to laugh, gallows humor.
That's a little bit where I'm at, because I think, again, I think Missouri fans, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but it's the excitement of, okay, our team's in it. The first couple of days are fun. I'm just going to watch it because it's new, it's exciting. All these teams, all day long, we're watching sports. And then by the time the Sweet 16 Elite 8 rolls around, you're like, well, Missouri's out of it. This sucks. I don't want to watch basketball for a little bit. And then the Final Four rolls around, and I go, okay, I'm back. I'm back.
Right. And the Elite 8 and Final Four gets there, and that's where we're at right now with the Elite 8 and then on into the Final Four. and then we'll see, who ultimately is going to be playing on the 19th for the championship. But I find myself, I don't know. I maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow, but the rooting interest now for me that's left, and this is total saltiness. My rooting interest is, one, I love watching France, so I'll be rooting for them the rest of the way. And two, I want Spain to win by like 5 goals. Like, I want them to beat Belgium like 5-1 or something like that, or 5. So you'd be like, yeah, U.S. really didn't have a chance anyway. It was embarrassing how they played. You would have liked to see them get past them. But Spain is just that much better than whoever they would have faced off against. And also bleep Belgium. Because they beat them in 14 and beat them on Monday. So, yeah.
I'm boycotting waffles.
Well, I can't do that.
I am boycotting waffles.
All waffles? What about just Belgium waffles?
All waffles.
What about at like the hotel waffle makers where you just you close the little thing and then you flip it and it goes for 2 minutes and then it beeps and you flip it back and you open it up and then you take it out?
I will eat a crepe before I eat a waffle right now in honor.
That makes sense.
Of that game.
You typically are what you eat, and people have said that Sterling is a crepe.
Yeah.
He is kind of crepey. Make sure the mustache gives it away.
Yeah, it does. It's tough. It's tough.
Crazy. It's weird. Michael, are your interest more, less than, a month ago I would not have been like, heck yeah, let's go. Let's get these games going. But I got caught up in it, and even with the U.S. getting embarrassed, like, I was disappointed that there wasn't a game yesterday, and I can't wait for today and these next 3 days of watching these 4 matches.
There definitely is more interest on my part, and I think a lot of that has to do with the World Cup being in America, and so a lot of the games are on our time schedule. If I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch, Belgium play, I'm not doing that, especially after they beat the United States, but since it is catered to our time schedule, I'm a very casual soccer viewer.
You're casual in general, man. You just go with the flow type dude.
So I'm going to watch because it fits my schedule. But if I had to get up at I know during COVID there were people that would get up and watch like Korean baseball at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not doing that for the FIFA World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll watch it if it's on at 3 or on at 7. Like, it's just more conducive to my schedule.
And I wonder too, I don't like the conversation that we get into, and I joked about it on Tuesday, that, hey, let's have the 10th conversation for the 11th time in my lifetime in World Cups. Yay. And I don't want to get into that. I was a little surprised that Soren asked Taylor Twellman yesterday, I think it was one of his Final Fours, of what year does the U.S. win the World Cup? And he said before 2050. That was surprising to me because I don't know that we're 24 years away from winning a World Cup. Who knows? Because 24 years ago, we made it a step further than what we just did. So, can't really say that, 24 years from now, hey, we're going to be in that spot. But that's, I will take that right now if you say before 2050 that the U.S. wins a World Cup, because I don't know that it's going to happen in my lifetime.
Not with that attitude.
Well, yeah, that's true.
No,
so go ahead real quick.
No, I just want to kind of reiterate. I think Darcy brought up such a good point, and it is why it is so important, I think, that it rotates throughout, especially in countries that maybe soccer isn't the most important sport, because you gain a whole new appreciation and a larger fan base. Because I never would have woke up at 3 a.m. to watch, unless the United States were playing, but I wouldn't wake up at 3 a.m. to watch France-Morocco. 3 p.m., I'll be watching France-Morocco. And now if it goes somewhere else, and that game's at maybe not 3, but let's say like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., you know what? Yeah, I probably will wake up and watch that before work. Right? Like, I having it in your time zone, to me at least, helped garner such a larger appreciation of the World Cup. And I think it gained me as a fan, and I think, Darcy, I think that time zone comment is apt. I think it's perfect.
Well, and 4 years from now, it won't be like it was, the last time the U.S. made the round of 8, which is waking up at 2 in the morning or staying up till 2 in the morning to watch U.S.-Mexico, and watch. It's Portugal, Spain, Morocco, so you're talking about 6 or 7 hours ahead. So if a game starts at 7 o'clock, it'll be noon here. or 1 o'clock here, depending on where it's at, whether it's in Spain or Morocco or Portugal, because they have time zones there too. It's crazy to think about.
But they call it something different. They call it
metric zones.
Metric zones, yeah.
They call it Celsius zones. It's weird. Nobody knows.
Kelvin.
Nobody knows. Kelvin.
And something else this World Cup has done is opened up my, I guess, horizons for the future. Like in 2028, when it's in Spain and Morocco, I've even thought, you're
what
seeing
about 2030 though.
Where it's not in 2030, right?
2030.
2030.
Yeah, it's 4 years from now.
Oh my gosh,
it's not 2024.
2030 when it's in Morocco and Spain.
Yep.
I want to be
4 years from now in 2028. I think.
I know, dude. In his mind,
you said that. Yeah.
I'm rewinding in history.
I said 24 years until 2050, and I bet he in his mind thought 2024.
For whatever reason, I guess so.
That's what happened.
But I want to be.
I inceptioned him.
I want to be what the foreigners coming to America are in 2030. I want to go to Morocco. I want to go to Spain and experience that culture and be immersed in that, and also having an event like the World Cup going on.
Yeah.
But I would never have thought that unless it came here first.
Yeah.
It's a great call.
That's a good point.
I think the same thing. I would love to go to Barcelona. I would love to take a pill in Ibiza.
Barcelona, okay? It's Barcelona. Yeah, and like I talked about, my buddy Jason, who was in town, and we had him on a couple of weeks ago getting ready for whatever match that was. I can't remember, but he was in town, and we talked about it, and I'd said he's already saving for Portugal, Morocco, Spain in 2030. Like, he's already started the saving for that trip to the World Cup. It's what he does.
Portugal, Morocco, Spain?
Yes, it's all three countries. Sort of like Canada, the U.S., and Mexico.
That'd be awesome.
So all three countries, and he's already started the saving for that, because that's what he does. He's a massive soccer fan. He's gone over to Europe multiple times, watched plenty of matches in different countries over in Europe. It's what he does. And so it's like, well, how are you able to go and just take like a 2 or 3 week vacation? Well, because the other countries, this is like the Super Bowl, so they start saving up now for 4 years when you can go and enjoy that trip.
I can't wait to end up in Monaco.
I'm here in Paris. Where's it at?
Where's it at? I'm in Monaco. Morocco.
They said the huge pre-match party for the U.S. is at the Eiffel Tower.
It's going to be a Grand Prix. Oh, shoot.
I knew it started with a P.
Oh, it was a Grand Prix match, not Grand Prix.
Portugal, not Patty. Oh, darn it. I was so close, though. I'll just watch it on the television from here. I also thought it was interesting in the Players Tribune. You get the players that write letters to the younger selves. We see that a lot. And I'm not saying this doesn't go on in the United States, but when people talk about how does the U.S. get to the next... Kylian Mbappe wrote in the Players Tribune that was released, I believe, today, said, me and my friends, we didn't hope to become footballers. Soccer players. We didn't expect it. We didn't plan. We dreamed. There's a difference. Some children have posters of superheroes in their bedroom. We covered ours with footballers. I had so many posters of Zidane and Cristiano. And then he said, when I got older, I also had posters of Neymar, which he finds funny. But that's another story. So sometimes people ask me why there's so much talent coming from our neighborhoods. Said maybe there's something in the water, or we're training in a different way. Some apartment buildings, some artificial grass. I think that football is just different for us. It's essential. It's every day. It's like bread and water. And so, like, it's like, hey, how do you, and then he wrote later on, like, as a child, is like Kylian, it was a little Ricky Henderson there. Kylian did not do his homework. Kylian forgot his school supplies. Kylian was talking about football and playing football while the teachers were teaching mathematics. And he's, one of the best players in the world. And we talk about sports specific, don't be sports specific, which I totally agree with. I don't think as youngsters, I think at some point you have to be sports specific because your talent may dictate that, right? No, I want to play basketball, football, and baseball and soccer. Okay, so only one of those coaches are going to have you on their team because you got cut from the others. I think it's sort of, I stopped playing baseball. Why? Because the coaches told me I couldn't play baseball anymore at that level. So eventually you will become maybe sports specific, or you'll be awesome and play different sports. I don't like the sports specific stuff as younger kids. But what he's talking about is they didn't play football or basketball or baseball. It was 24/7. All they played was soccer. That's all they played. And I'm not saying that's what we have to do here is only play one particular sport, but I do think it's a little bit different when every kid dreams of one specific thing, where my son is like, oh, what do you want to be? I don't know, professional baseball or basketball player. Like, oh, well, just choose whichever one you want. Just choose whichever one you want, right? And then you'll be able to go and do that. And there's different sports and things like that. We talk about how does it change, and like, I don't know, until you do that. Like, baseball became such a huge part of our fabric because Johnny Bench would walk down the street with a stick and pick up rocks and hit it while going to school.
Yeah.
He'd throw it in the air and hit the rock. Constant baseball. That's all he thought about. It's all he did all day. Pistol Pete, everywhere he went with the basketball, walking down the railroad tracks, dribbling the ball in the basketball to and from school. It's the only thing he cared about. It was his entire life. So you become great when that happens. We probably have kids like that, but it's not an entire country of kids like that.
Well, and I think, honestly, to my younger self, you should have kept talking in school and getting sent to the hall for talking, because look at me now.
Look at you now.
Look at me now. All those teachers that said, stop talking. What happens if I would have stopped?
See, for me, when I grew up, I didn't have superheroes on my wall. I had sports radio hosts, which was odd because they weren't around when I was a younger.
Stephen A. Smith, and
I dreamed of what it would be like for an all-sports radio station, which is dumb. It's like an all cooking channel, or channel just for weather.
Scott and Stephen A. Smith, and
that's right. I had Berman.
Skip Bayless, fathead.
I had Chris Berman because
that was actually just his head.
Early ESPN stuff. I had Berman and Dan Patrick. That's who I had on the wall for me. But I thought that was interesting. It's always fun sort of reading those things about their upbringing. And France plays today, and I absolutely love watching Mbappe play. He's a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens with France and Morocco. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to ask this question: does Bobby have a chance, a realistic chance, of winning an MVP on this terrible team? We'll get into that and look at some of the numbers and where he is right now in the current voting and the chances / odds of that continuing, and if the Royals need to finish somewhere near, 10 games under 500 for him to have a chance. We'll talk about that next.
On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game. We talked about it. Mbappe and France take on Morocco. This is going to be electric. By the way, I already put a little something down on this, okay? I had a little bonus bets on FanDuel. Shout out FanDuel, thank you. I put a little something on Mbappe and France winning. Doing those two combined got me a little plus money. That's what I'm rolling with for this particular game. But FanDuel's changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. They said that is silly. That is stupid. If your guy goes out in the 60th minute, why are we penalizing you? Because with FanDuel Super Sub, if your player is subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So if your dude goes out in the 70th minute, well, now that guy that came in for said dude, let's just say Mbappe, for example, he probably won't come out, but if he does, he goes in the 70th minute. He hasn't scored a goal yet. Where the substitute that came in for him, if he scores, well, bang, baby. That means your bet just hit. That is FanDuel Super Sub. It is cool. It is awesome. It is for you. It is for me. And this way, you're in it until the final whistle. All you need to do is go to FanDuel.com/local to get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus in President, Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We'll talk with Kent Swanson coming up at 11 o'clock, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Sports or leisure in the 1 o'clock hour.
Fact.
Yeah. I was looking up questions for sports or leisure last night and this morning, and this is not something that will be a sports or leisure question. It was just something I ran across while looking up some other questions. You see my tweet this morning at 9:03 about Robert Witt Jr. and the first 5 years in the majors. So I tweeted out, I said, coming up with questions for sports or leisure today, came across this. First 5 years in the majors. Bobby Witt, home runs, 117. Barry Bonds, home runs, 117. Stolen bases, Bobby Witt, 178. Barry Bonds, 169. OPS, Bobby Witt, 841. Barry Bonds, 837. Total games played, Bobby Witt, 713. Barry Bonds, 717. And I like the response from a lot of people. It's like, now just get him some steroids, and he's going to be unbelievable.
That's actually really funny.
But also what stood out in that is Barry Bonds never finished anywhere in the voting for MVP until his 5th year when he won the MVP, just as this is Bobby's 5th year in baseball. Now, that was a Pirates team for just the second time in Barry Bonds' 5 years that they finished above 500, and the first time they made the playoffs. And he won MVP. He had good seasons before that. The previous year was a dynamite year for Barry Bonds. Year 4 for Barry Bonds was amazing. Not even a vote for MVP. Didn't finish anywhere in the vote. All the names that show up with the least a vote. Bonds not there. They go on and win the division. They play in the NLCS. They lose to the Reds. Barry Bonds MVP. And so I was looking at it and like, okay, so this is year 5 for Bobby. They've made the playoffs already. They've been above 500 twice. This is a disastrous season for the Royals. And so the conversation that you get into, and we had this with A-Rod back in the day when the Rangers were last place team and A-Rod was amazing and won MVP. And it was like, can you be MVP on a last place team? Well, it depends on what you find to be value. Is it the best player on the best team? Is it valuable player? The Royals are 38-55. Would they be 30-63 if Bobby wasn't on the team? I don't know. He's the 3rd betting favorite right now for MVP. Yordan Alvarez is the favorite at -160. Nick Kurtz comes in second at +450, and Bobby at +550. Junior Caminero has moved up a lot, up to +600. And if you're, looking at teams that are in the playoffs, well, Junior Caminero having the season that he's having with a team with the, 3rd best record in baseball with the Rays, you would say, okay, well, that would make sense to be an MVP because Camaro's got 26 home runs already.
Yeah.
And if we look and compare, what's interesting about Alvarez or Nick Kurtz, like what's hurting Bobby right now is 2 things. One, it's how bad the Royals are. But also when we look at the other 3 guys, Bobby has 12 home runs. The other 3 have 20, 26, and 29. Bobby's got 38 RBIs this year. The other 3 have 56, 66, and 67. They're all pacing for at least 35 home runs and at least 100 RBIs. Bobby's pacing for 21 home runs and 66 RBIs.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. Those other 3 guys combined, though, have 9 stolen bases. Bobby has 30. Alvarez 1, Caminero 1. Nick Kurtz has 7 stolen bases, but Bobby has 30 and is pacing for 52. The home runs and RBIs will have to increase. But if you look at Baseball Reference WAR, he's at the highest with 4.8 of the players we're talking about here in the American League. Alvarez is 3.8, Kurtz is 3.8, and Caminero is 3.5. He's a full WAR, 1 WAR ahead of even second place in terms of these voting that we're looking at with Yordan Alvarez. F WAR. He's at 4.7. Alvarez is at 3.9. Nick Kurtz is 3.2. Junior Caminero is 2.8.
The reason why for those guys, Caminero plays third.
Mm-hmm.
He's atrocious.
He's just not good.
He's like the worst defensive. His fielding run value is 1 percentile. It's the worst.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the Fangraphs defensive rating, Bobby Witt is a plus 16.3. Junior Caminero is a minus 6.9. Nick Kurtz is a minus 7.4. And Yordan Alvarez in his 14 games in left field is a minus 10.8.
That's incredible in only 14 games.
Yeah, and he's a DH only. The thing that you get into, though, which is you say, okay, well, historically, you don't win the MVP by playing on a bad team. Agreed. We've seen it with A-Rod. It doesn't happen very often, really, at all. But we've also only seen literally one player win the MVP as a primary DH. And that was Shohei in 2024.
Did David Ortiz not do it? Okay.
No, he finished top 5 a number of times.
Yeah.
Yordan Alvarez is pacing for 50 home runs and 116 RBIs. That year, Shohei had 54 home runs and 130 RBIs. But he also had 59 stolen bases that year. Shohei did. It was a historic season. It was a DH that was so freaking good and head and shoulders above everybody else that you had no choice but to give the DH the MVP. The other 3 MVPs that he's won, those have been pitching as well. And he's going to win it again this year because he's also got a sub-2 ERA and 95 Ks and 85 innings. Well, Pete Crow Armstrong has been, awesome, but Shohei's going to win it again because he's an alien. But so my point being, Sterling, in that it's just as unprecedented for a DH only to win the MVP as it is for a player on a bad team to win the MVP.
Yeah, I think for me, though, if he gets the Triple Crown, Alvarez, you'd be hard-pressed to not, because he's leading in home runs, leading in RBIs, and he's second in the AL in batting average.
Yep. He's been unbelievable for a team that is also under 500.
But I think that's what you have to do for a DH to get it. I think we're on the same page, but for me, if he won the Triple Crown, DH or not, I'm probably leaning that way. Nick Kurtz, I'm not quite there with yet. I can't quite find myself. I put Caminero over Nick, personally.
I would too. And again, if we factor in the fact that Bobby is on a team that's 38-55, then how would Caminero be the 4th betting favorite on a team that's 54-36? The only team out of all of those that's in the playoffs currently. Those 4 favorites to win the MVP, the Rays are the only ones that currently have a spot in the playoffs. Houston is a game and a half out of the last wild card. The A's are only 3 games better than the Royals.
Yeah, that's surprising.
And Tampa's got the best record in the American League and the 3rd best record in all of baseball.
And I think a big part has been Caminero.
Yes.
And so maybe the biggest part. And so for me, I'd probably put...
So it doesn't make sense if it's Bobby is not going to win it because his team is so bad, but then Caminero isn't the leading vote getter while his team is so freaking good.
In fairness, I'd probably go right now, as it stands, I'd probably go Yordan and Caminero and Bobby as the top 3. I'd probably even go McGonigal 4.
Yeah, he's been really good. But you also talk about Detroit being
bad too.
4 games better than the Royals.
I mean, Kevin McGonigal has a higher WAR than those guys.
Mm-hmm. He's got the 2nd highest baseball reference B-WAR in the American League behind Bobby.
And then if you look at ESPN's F-WAR, B-WAR, not F-WAR, it's actually 0.1 higher than Bobby. I mean, McGonigal's been an all-around stud. The counting stats won't be there for him, but he's kind of like Bobby where he does everything very, very well. This is a chance for Bobby. If he continues this, I don't know what he needs to get to. Like, what is there a number that Bobby needs to get to if you're on a bad – does he have to hit 300? I think probably hitting 300. I think he would have to increase his home run rate to get to 30 on the season. I think if he gets to 30, if he has a 30-60 season and is a 300 hitter and plays the defense the way that he plays, I mean, he may finish second again. Again, he's the 3rd betting favorite right now. Do we see the stolen base numbers go down after the knee? I don't know. It's a good question. Because that would be because he's already at 30.
And he got his 30th over the weekend. So even after the knee, he's, stolen some bases.
But I would monitor that.
One of them on Sunday.
That's something to at least take a look at.
Oh, for sure.
I want Bobby to get it because Aaron Judge has been injured and missed so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, kind of lucky too. Murakami for the White Sox got injured because he hit 20 home runs in like 40 games, and you're like, okay, this might be a little different.
And Buxton is now on the IL.
Which, surprise.
I know, that's really, that's a shocker to me that Byron Buxton found a way to end up on the IL.
So, yeah, I do think Bobby Witt Jr., this might be one of his best chances.
Yeah, but the team is so bad.
The team is so bad that
if you flipped 2024 and this year in terms of success with the Royals, I think you'd make a case that Bobby is the leading vote getter or the leading odds-on favorite because of what he's doing and on a really good team and leading in B-WAR and F-WAR and defensive rating is number one in all of baseball at Fangraphs by a decent margin, by the way. And, he's like 4 or 5 defensive rating points above the next American League player.
I think the issue you run into is I don't see Yordan Alvarez slowing down.
Right, yeah.
And I could totally see him being the Triple Crown winner. And if you do that, there's not much. Like when it was Miggy versus Mike Trout, because that'd actually be a pretty good comp of Bobby versus Yordan. Because it was Mike Trout, did everything, stole bases, defensively, all of those things. But Miggy did something that you almost never see.
Yep.
And so Miggy got that. It was almost like when Russell Westbrook originally had that triple-double season. Yeah, sure. I get someone else may have had a better year overall, but we haven't seen this in so long.
Mm-hmm.
We need to reward this. And so that's what the voters did. I could see the voters saying, hey, I don't care if Houston's bad. We know his defense is ass and he doesn't play defense. We know he's not going to steal bases, but it's a Triple Crown. We're going to give it to him. I could at least see the argument for that for Yordan. Because the only guys to pass was it Yandy Diaz? Yeah. Yandy Diaz is the only guy with a better batting average.
Where's Diaz at?
327.
Okay.
But I don't think he's going to end up hitting 327. Like I don't see Yandy being. He's a really good hitter, very good hitter.
But is Yordan going to continue at 310 or better?
Yeah, I think so. I would if you said who's going to hit 310 or better, I would take the guy whose expected batting average is 331 on the year, versus the guy whose expected batting average is 292 for Yandy. It's not bad, but you're sitting here going, okay, who do I expect to do that? Probably Yordan. Again, Yandy Diaz is a career 294 hitter. He's a great hitter.
Yeah.
But
in looking at saying, okay, does Bobby have a realistic chance? Like immediately you would go, the team sucks, so no. And I do think and what you're talking about, the historical precedent of winning a Triple Crown, if you're Yordan Alvarez, would then trump the fact that he's a DH primary and he's played 14
I think
games.
You have to do.
Yeah. But I would say that it's just as rare to win an MVP as a DH only as it is to win an MVP on a bad team.
And these can happen because was it Felix Hernandez won one with broke the historical win trend, right? I mean, Zach Greinke kind of did too with the Royals. But strange things happen.
Yeah.
But you have to. I think for me, the counting stats, the RBIs for Bobby have to go.
Rough.
They're rough. You're not gonna.
He's pacing for 66.
Yeah, you're not.
Alvarez already has 67.
Yeah, you're not winning MVP with 66 RBIs.
No. Nope. Even if you're an amazing shortstop.
Yeah.
Even if you've got 52.
Fair or not.
Bases.
I know we know more about analytics now, but the point still remains.
Yeah.
Counting stats to an extent still make a difference.
And to your point about a historic season, if Yordan Alvarez is a DH only, is a Triple Crown, that'd be a historic season, just as Shohei Ohtani, the only DH to win MVP, had a 50-50 season. 54 home runs, 59 stolen bases. Such a historic offensive season that it overtook the fact that he did not step out on the field.
Correct.
Now, Yordan Alvarez has stepped out on the field, but it was not good when he did. 14 games, he got a minus 10.8 defensive rating in only 14 games. That's pretty bad.
That's impressive.
That's pretty bad. And he's playing in a short left field when he was playing there in Houston. So 14 games in left, they're like, let's put you in the place where you don't have to even run around. And even then it was like, good God, he's bad. Put him at DH only. But that's his job, is to hit. His job is to hit. It's not to go and play defense.
It's
and
putting
he's doing
Billy Butler in left field is what it is.
I know, poor guy. Poor guy, old William Butler. Poor dude. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. All right, man, if you're out there and suffering from erectile dysfunction, Heartland Men's Health can help. You know, they let you know sometimes the most difficult thing is simply walking through the door, scheduling a consult to get it figured out. You know, it can upset a lot of things going on in your relationship, your marriage. There are many different underlying conditions that can cause that, and in turn, that condition can cause depression and arguments and breakups. Your partner oftentimes thinks it's because of them, and that is not the case. Maybe you've tried the pills or the herbals and they have failed. Well, Heartland Men's Health treatments work when that happens. In fact, they have treatments with success rates well over 90%. They have been successfully treating men in the Kansas City area. Schedule a consult with Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit, it's only $99, and that includes a medical consult with a licensed medical provider, a T, and that PSA test. And if medically advised, you get a test dose. And if the test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit, it's free. If it does, there you go. They have an expert staff with 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, and North Kansas City. Call them today at 844-447-6600. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com. All right, wrap it up this hour. We'll talk with Ken Swanson coming up in the next segment. Get his thoughts on some Kansas City Chiefs conversation. We're 15 days away, 2 weeks from tomorrow. So we'll talk with Kent about some topics heading into training camp. That comes up next. In the noon hour, we'll get into some college football, discussing what does success look like for the local teams. We'll talk about individually for those schools, and then sports or leisure in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll get into that as well. So we'll see. Also, some other Major League Baseball stuff like ESPN's trade things and along those lines. Ken Swanson next.
Kent Swanson of KCSN is brought to you by Dick Ray Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Are you planning to spend money on a new AC or furnace repair this year? Dick Ray can help. Show us a 2025 HVAC repair invoice from any company, and we'll credit that amount towards a new system up to $2,500. Call 913-DICK-RAY or go to dickray.com for details.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. Sports or Leisure coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk some college football coming up an hour from now. Get into what we believe success looks like for the local teams. And we talked before the show, had a very extensive, long conversation, and we all came to agree that the only success for the local teams is if they win a national championship. Anything less than that is, I guess, failure, probably. KU, national title. K-State, national title. Mizzou, national title. So really, in theory, only one team could even have a successful season this year. That's what we're going to get into and why we are correct and everybody else is wrong that disagrees with us. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, joining us here in the Zone on a Thursday. Hello, Kent. How are you, sir?
Well, Jason, my standard for the Kansas Jayhawks is much, 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 much lower than your expectations here on 810. Just get me to a bowl game.
Wow. Seems like you don't care about football. You're accepting mediocrity. I get it.
Yeah. No, I think mediocrity is a great place to start. If Kansas can get to a bowl game every other year, then they are doing exactly what they need to do as a football program. And the last few years have been very disappointing. So just get me to a bowl game. I'll be happy. It's
like when John Sherman said, we were talking around here about what a championship or a division-winning team looks like. I'd like to see what a wild card team looks like. It's like, what's a championship football team look like? I don't know. What does a bowl team look like? Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast is our guest. Okay, so you've got your projected 53-man roster out at KCSN that came out about a week ago or so, and we are 15 days away from training camp getting underway. I don't see them making any different moves before training camp. I think it'll be a fun exercise to go back when the final 53 is released to see what and I need to do this as well. Before training camp, I need to come up with my projected 53-man roster just so I can see where I am close to what those look like. The one thing that I thought was interesting, and we can start here because there's a lot of places I want to go with this. A couple things. One, it looks like defensive tackle might be the easiest one to come up with and say, here are the defensive tackles on the team. And the flip side is Khalil Benson is on your roster, and man, he went from, they got a nice little tackle from Indiana that played all those years and wasn't drafted, and they got him into, like, he's become kind of the Esapole of this year, and Esapole, I believe, will absolutely be on the team and has a chance of starting at right tackle. But Khalil Benson is a guy that's really gained a lot of excitement around him, and you've got him on the offensive line. In your mind, is he the sort of the last guy? Are there two or three players fighting for what could be that last position if we're looking at guys that maybe pretty much have a spot locked up now that Wanye is out?
Yeah, I think Khalil Benson is definitely one of the last few in consideration for me when I'm looking through the roster, right? But it's also hard to deny what's the buzz, right? And I think it's worth at least paying attention to as we sit here in June that he's earning opportunities to get reps with teams that undrafted groups of players that undrafted rookies typically don't get, right? So I do think, he's probably one of the last few on the roster. But I mean, there's a couple of things here. I think it's always worth paying attention to when players are ascending well beyond the expectations that they've, you might have for them walking in, and that the Chiefs are so public with it, and that they traded Wanye Morris, I think tells you some things about how they view what they have in the offensive line room. So I think those are things that are worth paying attention to. But it's also June, I think there's probably been, is in my estimation, with Benson, I think he's probably one of those guys that has picked it up mentally, has done a really good job on the mental side and has earned those opportunities. But it's a whole other game when the pads come on. But for now, I think, the Chiefs have done a good job of identifying undrafted tackles, like they did with Esapole, like they did with Ethan Driscoll. So I'm gonna lean into that, kind of trends that this team has.
Is there a guy that, of those three, Pole, Benson, well, you know what, I don't even want to go Pole because I think Pole and Moore are there. Benson and Driscoll, if both of those guys are on the team, is there one that you might be more excited about with the potential for that guy to be somebody that could help, whether swing tackle or legit depth, and not just a warm body that's out there, wearing pads and trying to stand in front of somebody while they go and rush Patrick Mahomes? Either of those guys that you might find yourself being a little more excited about on the if they make the team, one of the last guys?
It's a great question. And it's a little bit of context there. If Ethan Driscoll plays like he did in 2024, I think there's reason to be excited. He had injuries and some surgeries that kind of kept him out of being able to play in 2025. But Ethan Driscoll was very impressive. You could argue that he was doing some things that were more impressive than what you saw at Esapole in 2025. And so, if Ethan Driscoll is able to ascend back to the version of what he was, then I think there's reason to be excited about him as a meaningful contributor. And if Benson is able to beat out a version of Ethan Driscoll that looks like it did in 2024, then that just tells you everything you don't need to know about him. And, I always, when I'm looking at stuff like this, I always think it's really important that, we kind of, contextualize how valuable, one of these players are. Simply these, Pole, Benson, and Driscoll, if two of the three make the roster, that is a massive win for this organization. And they don't have to necessarily be starters, but if they can be capable backups, anytime you're able to find capable, quality 53-man roster players from undrafted free agency, that's just a massive win for your roster building. And so getting Benson and Driscoll, they don't have to be starters at any point in their career to be valuable contributors to this offense into this 53-man roster.
Visiting with Kent Swanson, KCSN, KC Laboratory Podcast. I do enjoy looking at pictures of Ethan Driscoll on the field next to the other offensive linemen because it reminds me of like 11-year-old that's already hit puberty around his other teammates. And he's an offensive lineman around other offensive linemen. Like he's that massive of a human being. It's just like, hold on. The kid that you question, where's the birth certificate? Like, did you drive your family here to this game, dude? That's what Driscoll, like him next to Josh Simmons. It's like, hold on, which one is the better offensive tackle? Which one is the premier prospect?
And he moves. The thing that made Ethan Driscoll so impressive is if you remember that run out in the preseason game where he's just out in space, just moving down the field. And you don't see guys of his size moving the way he does. And so I think that's what makes him such an intriguing kind of candidate at the bottom of this roster.
Visiting with Kent Swanson, KCSN, KC Laboratory Podcast. I may have asked this to you a couple of weeks ago. I need to go back and find my notes from our last conversation, and I'm going to do that right now and find notes from our most recent conversation. But if I ask this to you, then I apologize, or maybe I don't. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out together, right? Let me see. Nope, didn't ask you this. I've brought this up a couple of times because I think one of the more surprising parts of this offseason is that the Chiefs didn't address the blocking tight end. And my question would be, is there potential for the Chiefs to turn Jared Wiley into that? I brought it up with a number of different guests we've had on just to get pick their brain and see hear their thoughts on what they think of that Jared Wiley on the team, that maybe the plan is, hey, we didn't go out and address inline blocker because that's going to be Jared Wiley, and that's our plan for him, and he's going to embrace that role as well.
So I don't know if I'm overly confident that Jared Wiley is the inline blocker that we feel that the Chiefs need. But I think what's important and I think this kind of speaks to where the Chiefs offense is relative to the rest of the National Football League. Because maybe Jared Wiley is just going to become one of the best inline blockers. I don't have a ton of confidence in that. But if you look at the rest of their tight end room, it is not like they have any other candidate in that tight end room that is you would consider a great inline blocker, right? Jake Brenningstool, Trey Watson, John Michael Gillenborg. They've got some intriguing tight ends, but they're all the same flavor of tight end that this team has employed over the last few years.
Right.
So I don't think Jared Wiley has a ton of hope, but I also don't think that the Chiefs are actively seeking that right now. It kind of feels to me as though they are not leaning into the 13 personnel versions of teams or 12 personnel versions of teams that we have seen in the rest of the league, right? It does feel like the league's getting bigger. It feels like the league's getting more tight end blocking focused this last year. You saw how many teams were having success with it. And it just feels like the Chiefs are just they're ignoring that trend entirely. And they are saying, if we get Eric Bieniemy to yell at people and and hold players more accountable, we can throw out 3 F tight ends that really can't block and just kind of get in the way and do our thing. That's what it feels like. It feels like the personnel decisions lean itself towards that, and we'll see. I mean, they've got. I'm interested in Jake Brenningstool. I'm interested in Trey Watson, John Michael Gillenborg as fun lottery tickets as well. But they aren't solving the inline problem either. And it just feels like the Chiefs are moving on from that phase of football that everyone else is leaning into. They're zigging where other people are zagging. And they're going to do different things to try to have success in the run game.
Yeah, that was, I guess, where I was going to go with that, too. And you brought that up at the end. So, the Chiefs in 2023 had to go more heavier personnel. They lost to the Raiders on Christmas Day. And it was like, okay, they're not going to do this the way they did in 2022 by being the number 1 offense in the league. So how do you win the Super Bowl? Okay, well, here's the personnel we have. How do we win the Super Bowl? We go to Buffalo and we play a little heavier. We go to Baltimore and Blake Bell comes out in the opening possession and they're running play action and they're running, heavy run sets, and that's how they're going against the Baltimore Ravens because that's the personnel to beat them. Play defense, score enough, control the ball, don't turn it over. More of an old school football way of doing it as opposed to the Super Bowl the year before, which is, get every single yard possible in the second half against the Eagles and score 38 points. And then they play the Bills doing that, play the Ravens doing that. The Bills go into 2024 and say, hey, what if we had a bigger offensive set? Let's have a 6th offensive lineman. Then they went into 2025 and said, let's just draft in the middle rounds a blocking tight end. And they did that. And the Rams have gone from empty personnel in the Super Bowl against the Bengals to one of the heaviest 12 and 13 personnel teams in the league, where the Chiefs went bigger, teams followed suit. And then it's interesting that if they haven't addressed that, that's more feature, not a glitch for this offseason.
Well, I think there's some distinctions between some of the things that have happened over the last year or two versus kind of what happened a few years ago, right? Because the Chiefs did play some heavier personnel in the past and they had some success. But I think defense has shifted too. And, I think, teams are trying to be light and heavy at the same time. Like the Nick Emman Warriors are kind of changing how teams are perceiving defenses a little bit here. And with, the two kind of examples that you provided with the Rams and, Buffalo, recent trends are under center run game, more duo, more man blocking. And that's not something that the Chiefs are really employing either, right? So schematically, they aren't built to be able to be as downhill minded in the run game as they have been in, some of these other recent trends in the past have. And so if you're not going to do that, and you're not going to have, the inline blocking capabilities that some of these other teams do, well, that sounds to me like you're kind of trying to, do the same things that you've always done, which seems to be more of the trend of the offseason, the narrative of this offseason. I've been joking. It's, Andy's just saying, well, it's the children who are wrong. And, he's saying, we just need our players to execute my things more and my things better. And that's really what it feels like is about to happen in 2026, and we'll see if they're right.
Visiting with Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Okay, so ESPN is coming out with their rankings of positional groups, and we got into a discussion yesterday because on Tuesday, the rankings came out with cornerbacks, and Trent McDuffie was number 5, And he's been ranked for the last 3 years. Since his rookie year, he showed up in also receiving votes and then came in at number 6, number 4, and then this year is number 5. And so we pose the question, okay, so they traded up for Mansour Delane, a top 10 pick in the draft, and by seems like a decent standard of the best cornerback in the draft. Every draft is different. The best cornerback this year could, it may not be close to Pat Surtain, best cornerback in different years. What would you think that Mansour Delane, does he have to show up on those rankings next year? Because it's all subjective. It's different people's coaches, execs, and they, add it all together and get the aggregate. And then, hey, here's the ranking of the top 10 and honorable mentions and also receiving votes. Is it imperative that if the Chiefs can show that the move they made is defensible and was right, does he have to show up on the rankings next year? And then I'm going to get into some historical context over the last 5 drafts to add to that. I want to know your opinion before and then after I give you these numbers.
Does he have to make that list? For me, no. Does he need to be one of the 20 best cornerbacks in football? Probably. I think ascending into the top 10 would be a tremendous accomplishment, and that would make I think that would make some things in the transition here an absolute slam dunk, no doubt about it, right? But I think, setting the bar against Trent McDuffie, who was a tremendous slam dunk, one of the best picks in the Brett Veach era, I don't know if comparing to him is fair for Delane, and I don't think that's the bar that he has to clear for some of this process to be successful, right? Because Delane is going to be at a significantly reduced price to what Trent McDuffie provides, which allows flexibility for 2027 and beyond for this team to kind of usher in a new version of this team. And so, I don't know if comparing it necessarily just to where, he sits in the top 10. He needs to be a good player. He needs to be, he needs to be one of the 20, 25 best cornerbacks, I think, sooner rather than later. But, I don't know if we need to. I don't know if I'm comparing him to Trent McDuffie's, career arc for it to be justified.
Visiting with Kent Swanson, our guest. I want to give you these numbers though. Okay, so that was my thought process going into it, and see if this changes your mind or not. So I went through the last 5 drafts, and there have been 18 cornerbacks selected in the first round in the last 5 drafts. Only 5 of them were taken in the top 10, Kent. And so I looked at after their rookie year ranking, if they were ranked in the top 10 or honorable mention or also receiving votes. After the rookie year, 3 of those 5 showed up in the top 10. It was Patrick Surtain, Sauce Gardner, and Witherspoon for the Seahawks. Rookie overall showing up in even receiving votes, 4 of the 5, and it was J.C. Horn that was also receiving votes. The one that did not show up in the top 10 or honorable mention or also receiving votes after the rookie year was, oddly enough, Derek Stingley, who has gone from not even receiving votes to 10th to 2 to 2. But taking it a step further, if you look at the number of times they could be ranked since they were drafted. So, for instance, J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain would add up to 10 because they each have 5 different rankings at ESPN that they could be a part of. Stingley and Sauce, those are 4 apiece. So it comes up to 21 total times that they could have showed up in the ranking. And of the 5 players drafted in the top 10, showing up in the top 10 was 17 out of the 21 chances of those players drafted in the top 10. I thought that was interesting. That's not even just honorable mention and also receiving votes. That's actually specifically ranked in the top 10, 17 of the 21 chances. And all of those top 5 picks over the last 5 years are still ranked in this top 10 as well, ranked in last year's top 10. So back-to-back years, those 5 guys have been in the top 10. As opposed to the other 13, it's a real crapshoot. 4 of the 13 ever showed up in any also receiving votes or honorable mentions or top 10. That's Trent McDuffie, Christian Gonzalez, Quinion Mitchell, and Nate Wiggins. And that's it. but there's a clear difference with these numbers of top 10 pick or just first round overall. Does that change your thoughts on Mansour Delane if we look at the historical precedent of the last 5 years of top 10 cornerbacks selected?
I think the thing that's tricky for me is, yes, I understand the stature of being the first cornerback selected in the draft, and he's a top 10 pick. But I also think listing those guys out, he'd probably sit at the bottom of the rankings for me. If I was looking at the list of guys, if I'm looking at some of the names that you brought out and what we thought about them heading into the draft and what we thought about them, I think most of those guys would probably sit ahead of Mansour Delane for me in my rankings and my outlook and my projection for them. I mean, we had a really strong grade on Mansour Delane as a group in the KCSN draft guide. For me personally, it was a little bit lower than where we sat as a group. And so for me, my expectations are probably a little bit lower relative to those guys. I still think he can be a very fine corner. And I think, we've seen what Dave Merritt has done with defensive backs historically. So I still have optimism for him, but I don't have the same, I don't know if I view him in that tier of prospect heading in, and I think that's one of the distinctions for me.
So
every draft's different, yes, every draft's different.
Absolutely. The number one pick in the NBA can be LeBron James or Michael Olowokandi. It could be Anthony Bennett, or it can be, AJ DeBanza / Darren Peterson. Like you never know who that guy is going to be. And not to ask you to rank the 5 that have been drafted before, but the names with Surtain and Horn and Stingley and Sauce and Witherspoon, in your mind, Mansour Delane as a draft prospect would come in 6th if all of those 6?
Yeah, I think maybe I got to remember my J.C. Horn takes, but 5th or 6th. I mean,
oddly enough, drafted before Pat Surtain. So nice job, Caroline.
Yeah,
well done, guys.
But that's about the range. I mean, I think there's and I think that's the tricky part is this is a fine draft. This wasn't a great draft. This was and I think in a different draft year, I think it's also worth saying, if you go look at some of the other drafts historically over the last 5 years, how many times has Mansour Delane the pick in those drafts? If the Chiefs are picking where they're picking. That's
interesting. So, that's a good point. And if we look at, J.C. Horn maybe being the 5th of those 5, he's also the guy that didn't show up in the top 10 until year number 4. It was also receiving votes, honorable mention, number 7, and this year number 8. So he has been, according to the rankings as well, the 5th of those 5 guys in that particular group. Injuries and other things, but still. That's certainly part of the whole thing. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Last one real quick for you because of your Chiefs 53-man roster. As we look at the cornerbacks, the ESPN and Mike Clay put out his projections for starters, and then the weaknesses and strengths and players that you should know that are non-starters. But part of his starting defense for the Chiefs had L'Jarius Sneed listed with Mansour Delane and not Noel Williams. Is that realistic that Sneed could be starting over Noel Williams, or is that an outsider nationally that saw they brought in L'Jarius Sneed? Noel Williams played sparingly last year, so let's put Sneed in as a starter if he's healthy.
I think it's more likely Noel Williams is a starter than Mansour Delane. And I'm not saying that as a disrespect to Delane. I'm just saying I think Noel Williams is the number 1 starter for this team. And having a year under his belt in the scheme, I think week 1 starters, I think Williams has I think Williams is more of a lock to be a week 1 starter than any of these guys. I don't understand the process that this team, or that team at ESPN went through, candidly, because there's a lot of bones I had to pick with that list. Cornerback being one of them. Yeah. Offensive tackle being the biggest weakness on this roster. Also, flabbergasted by. But everyone seems to hate the Chiefs' offensive line right now.
It's crazy.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but the consensus, we were talking about this on the show last night, the consensus rankings for where, a lot of media outlets have the Chiefs' offensive line is in the 20s. It's just an absurd disrespect of this offensive line that will get resolved quickly during the season. But no, I think Noel Williams is a slam dunk starter. L'Jarius Sneed, we'll see. But I was kind of flabbergasted by that. I think Noel Williams is a starter lock.
Yeah, I think what was it Warren Sharp had him at 23 in the league as offensive line ranking and stuff. Okay, sure. And Brett Veach keeps laughing about. I'll just let people think that we were going to take tackle, and then trading Wanya Morris, and then viewed as a weakness there at ESPN because they traded Wanya Morris and it hurt the depth. Like, hold on, shouldn't you view it the other way? They traded Wanya Morris because they were excited and knew what the depth was. I don't know. I guess there's fitting the narrative is trading Wanya Morris means they have less depth there with the overall offensive line and the roster. Going against the narrative would be trading Wanya Morris because they feel pretty strong about the offensive line and the tackles that people are missing. So there you go.
No offense to anyone, no offense to Wanya Morris, but I don't know if any of them have watched Wanya Morris recently.
I don't think he was going to make the team anyway.
No,
they moved up a number of picks in the draft for a guy that they were going to cut. So I'm perfectly fine with that. It was a fine deal by Brett Veach. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, always comes up with fine deals. Not sure what that transition was. But anyway, Kent, thank you for joining us as always, brother. In a couple of weeks, we will be a day away. Our next conversation, the pitchers and catchers will be reporting, otherwise known as rookies and quarterbacks, the very next day in our next discussion. So thank you for the time as always, brother. Looking forward to it already.
Jason, get pumped. It's our annual conversation where I'm driving to Buc-ee's in Branson.
Buc-ee's. So, it's a rodent on steroids.
Get pumped, buddy.
Yes. Awesome. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother. Looking forward to that Buc-ee's conversation.
Yep.
There you go. There's see you, bud. There's Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. I love that he did the exercise because I want to do this as a group before they head to training camp, the three of us. So maybe we do this in a couple of weeks, maybe like the 23rd or even the 24th when they're reporting to camp, that we come up with and we go through our 53-man roster pre-camp to see what it looks like when they not break camp, but when they announce their 53-man roster, the Chiefs, to see how close it is. Because it's a good exercise to go with. So when you go, well, how did this guy get cut? Or how did that, you didn't even have him on your roster to start before training camp. And you're shocked that they got cut now. Okay, so what were the thoughts going into it? I think it's a good exercise and interesting, some of the names that Kent has listed there.
Usually it's about 49 of the guys you think are going to make the team will make the team, but it's that other group that's like, oh, maybe they have an extra offensive lineman or they take an extra defensive back, and it kind of throws everything off because it depends. Every year it's different. I don't think they're going to take 4 tight ends this year, so it's probably going to be more running backs that make the team because they also, if you want to look at the wide receiver depth chart, are there going to be 6 to 7 guys that make the team? There should be 6, but is that 6 Nico Remigio?
Right, exactly. That's absolutely. And defensive end, is it 4 defensive ends, 5 defensive ends, and if it's 5 defensive ends, is the 5th one who? Because if it's Karlaftis, right? Right? Yes. That's you say who, and if I said Ethan Downs, the reaction from a lot of people might also then be who? Just 2 different ways of saying who is the 5th one. Ethan Downs. Who?
We learned about Ethan Downs when Dave Tobe name dropped him when talking about the Leo Chenal replacement.
Yep.
It was Cooper McDonald and Ethan Downs.
Ethan Downs. You're like, I know that one guy is a real guy. Is the other guy a real guy? Because if we say defensive ends, 5 of them, and it's like, well, is Felix Udike Uzama even going to be on the team? Okay, if he's not, who is? Because Karlaftis, Gelati, and R. Mason Thomas are your defensive ends. And then? No, and then. And then, no, and then it's Felix, Ethan Downs, or somebody they acquire in training camp.
I'll say this.
Say it.
The entire defensive end room has me feeling pretty Ethan Downs.
You know what? F you for that. More Zone next. Back at it today with some more soccer going on and the world's biggest soccer tournament heating up. And Kalshi, you can trade every single match from the opening stage all the way to the final. And look, in these quarterfinals, there are some heavy favorites going on. And today, heavy favorites with France advancing over Morocco. But you know what? Regular time tie is 25% right now. Regular time for France, like you can play the overall advancing France at 77%, but if you think they're that much better than Morocco, you can get France to advance in money line, or regulation time, I should say, and trade on that market at 62%. So, you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck. You're getting essentially, 50% of your money that you're investing in that, as opposed to, $100 pays out $125 for France to just simply advance. $100 pays out $160 if France were to win in regulation time. And if you don't think they're going to win in regulation time, well, you can hedge that maybe with a tie, because that's at 25%, which is trading, at 25%. That means, $100, you're going to get $380 for that investment. You can invest both of them and just trade up and down and see how the market trend goes, because that's the beautiful part about Kalshi. Let's say I put some money on the regular time tie at 25%, and it's the 60th minute and it's 1-1. That regular time tie might be up at 50%. I've just doubled my money. And then I can say, you know what, now let me invest in France just to advance, because that's probably going to be below 70%. So now I'm getting money for the tie, but also then money for France advancing. Now, some of those things would have to work out that way, but if you see that it's not going to be a tie early on, boom, let me trade out of that position of regulation tie and just take whatever money I can salvage from that. I don't have to see it all simply go away like you would at other places. There's no house. You're trading against peers in a live market. As the probability changes, as I'm talking about, you can buy in and out of your position. You can mitigate some of the risk, which also helps you maximize some of the profit. And that's what you can do at Kalshi. Simply download the Kalshi app, use code JASON810 to get $10 when you trade 10. It's Jason810, Jason810. It's Kalshi, Kalshi. Kalshi, trade the beautiful game.
18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. Coming up at 1 o'clock, we got some sports or...
Fact.
Wait for it. Cold Classics. There you go.
Sports and Ethan Downs.
Sports or Downs?
So are you guys pretty Ethan Downs about this Edge group?
You know... It's more like it's not mine and it's not yours. It's more of an R, Mason Thomas, about the Edge group that I'm excited about. Specifically. And I think it's going to be such a treat we can all, go out and eat some gelati. Just have some fun, And if we're all sort of trying to learn, we can all be, a curious George.
Yeah.
I'd be curious if he can get to 10 sacks.
Be furious if he doesn't. Be furious, George, if he doesn't. That's what I would be. So Ken Swanson said something there that I thought was interesting, and a punch to the face of the predicted starting lineup that ESPN had, with also the weaknesses that we talked about. The weakness of being the tackle that we're like, come on, that's just building into the narrative. And Warren Sharp's ranking of the Chiefs' offensive line at number 23 in the NFL. Like, okay, come on, it's just narrative. Lazy narrative, right? Too many people are Ethan Downs on the Chiefs' offensive line. Okay. But I asked him about L'Jarius Sneed on that ESPN projected starters, Sneed starting over Noel Williams. And it was like, okay, so is this like a chance of happening? Is this, Noel Williams didn't play much last year, even when given the opportunity, or could have been given the opportunity with injuries or anything like that. And L'Jarius Sneed has the track record when healthy, has the experience in the system. The coaches clearly love L'Jarius Sneed. And Kent Swanson said, quote, I think it's more likely Noel Williams is a starter over Mansour Delane than it is that Sneed is starting over Noel Williams.
Wow.
He's that high on Noel Williams and what he can be this year.
Or is he that high on Sneed?
No, he's saying it's more likely. He's saying Mansour Delane's going to be a starter. But the gap between Noel Williams and Sneed is that he thinks it's more likely Noel Williams is starting over Mansour Delane is going to be coming off the bench rather than Sneed moving ahead of Noel Williams on the depth chart.
Well, I guess you can take it two ways then, because if he thinks Delane's starting and Noel's starting, that would mean that L'Jarius is
not.
Yeah.
And that was sort of his point, is like, I don't. And then he said, I have a number of.
So he thinks Noel Williams is CB1, basically, is what he's alluding to.
Or CB2, but there's a gap between Noel Williams to where you say, okay, no, like Mike Clay saying L'Jarius Sneed is going to be starting at cornerback, and he's saying there's a bigger gap between Noel Williams and Sneed than there is Noel Williams and Mansour Delane. So if you're saying Mansour Delane is starting, that's what Ken Swanson's point is.
I think Sneed has a fourth chance of starting at corner.
Outside corner?
Yeah, I think it's
with Fulton.
I think Delane, Noel, Fulton,
I agree.
Sneed.
I agree.
That's how I'd break it down. Personally,
we got to see L'Jarius Sneed make it through training camp healthy.
Yeah, I mean that's just.
He didn't make it the last 2 years with the Titans healthy.
We're not looking at what Sneed was when he was in KC. We're looking at what he did with the Titans.
Right.
I'd also put Christian Fulton in that category too. He's not exactly Mr. Healthy.
No, he's not, but he was healthy. He was healthier last year than when he played 8 games. Some of that was healthy scratches. Played 14 or 15 games the year before. So that's 23 games the last 2 years for, Christian Fulton, where L'Jarius Sneed the last 2 years played 12
they're completely different in terms of time.
Christian Fulton also needs to be healthy through training camp. But if we're talking about two guys that are often injured, now we're just sort of rearranging there between Sneed and Fulton as the third cornerback, where the prediction at ESPN, the starter would be Sneed over Noel Williams.
Yeah, I don't see that.
And if everybody's healthy, I don't see Sneed starting over Noel Williams.
I don't.
I think Noel Williams and Mansour Delane, I think those are your starters, hopefully for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly close either.
I think if he's healthy, I think it would be close. If we're talking about L'Jarius
Sneed
is healthy, fully healthy, which is a huge if.
Yeah, right.
He probably should start over Noel Williams.
Why? What has he shown you over the past 2 years?
I mean, he showed enough to get a massive contract extension.
No, that's what he showed in Kansas City. What has he shown over the past 2 years?
Well, he's been injured.
And bad.
Because of the injuries. So, I mean, you could make the conversation.
Those knee injuries were never going away. It's not like all of a sudden those knee injuries are for sure gone. He was fighting through them in Kansas City, and it became too much.
So if he fought through them and was the equivalent to what he was his final year in Kansas City.
Yeah, when he was 25 and 26, and now he's 29.
He was 25 when he was in Kansas City? Like, the last season he was 25?
He would have been 26.
Let's see, Snead.
Right?
His
27, 28.
It was his 26-year-old season in Kansas City, as it was listed there.
And I'm very high on Noah Williams. I think that he is going to be that second starting corner, but I would also say that if L'Jarius Sneed is healthy, I don't think you can just be, oh, well, he's not the starter because...
I just think people think of him as who he was back in Kansas City 3 years ago. He was ranked 104th out of 114 corners last year when he played. I don't understand. I don't.
See, I can't separate the two. And it's like, if healthy, then does he have a chance to start? Yeah, if healthy, I think he does. I just can't separate the two of where I haven't seen Noah Williams battle injuries in his, in the last year to where it's like, okay, he can't get on the field because he's injured. It's not an inability, it's an unavailability or availability, not ability, it's availability for him. I can't separate the two if I'm saying, okay, like to predict that L'Jarius Sneed is going to be the starter to start the season, that's predicting that the last 2 years will completely flip in terms of health. And it would also be, not only would the last 2 years flip in terms of health for Sneed, it would be the Chiefs looking at Noah Williams and saying, no, he's not good enough to start over this guy who is often injured and didn't play at the level he did a couple of years ago for the Chiefs, where it certainly feels like they are wanting to have these younger guys come up. Because I would be annoyed if it's L'Jarius Sneed starting over Noah Williams, because it's like, go to the youth movement, but not really go to the youth movement like Noah Williams. And I'd rather Noah Williams and Mansour Delane go out there week one as you're starting outside corners and think of what the future can be over the next 3 years with those guys, kind of like McDuffie and Watson/Williams or whoever was on the outside. And then we see 4 years later what McDuffie and Watson look like on the outside together. I'd like to see that with Delane and Noah Williams and growing together and just simply saying, let him go and play.
And by the way, again, to Sneed, he was 117th out of 117th the first year in Tennessee. I get injuries. I get that. But he wasn't good when he played. Was that the scheme? Was it
just Tennessee being Tennessee?
Sure,
Tennessee.
But I know you're definitely right, and I agree with you. And from a roster building standpoint, you want your two young draft picks to play and start. I'm just saying that if L'Jarius Sneed is healthy, which is a great hypothetical question because we haven't seen it, I don't think it's like this giant Grand Canyon gap that he couldn't reach. I still think Noah Williams should start even if Sneed is healthy, but I don't think it's like, oh, you just write it off right away.
I'm pretty much writing it off.
It's a write-off for him. He's he's going through tax season right now.
I love Sneed, what he did for Kansas City.
Yeah, that's right.
I love what he did for Kansas City, but I think we'd be foolish. I mean, how many times do players? I don't like talking about players 3 years ago and what they did, saying that's who they are. That's not the reality in the NFL of any sport.
But there's also a projection of what Noah Williams will be based on what we saw and the Chiefs' defensive coaches not trusting him to play after they put him in a spot to play, and then he just rode the bench after that until it was like, okay, now it's a requirement because everybody else is injured.
And he looked solid.
I agree with that.
What if he's Jaden Hicks? I know a different position, but what if he's second-year Jaden Hicks?
Could be. No, it's possible.
Given more responsibility and doesn't answer the bell.
Fulton. That's where Fulton comes in.
Who also was a healthy scratch until Christmas, essentially.
Sure.
Yep.
No,
for sure.
I think they have options, but there's question marks to almost every single one of the options.
Doesn't this, though, also maybe further emphasize and highlight that they have to have gotten it right with Mansour Delane?
Correct.
Because we're wondering
We're all assuming it, by the way.
We're not even talking about him.
Right.
We're just plugging and playing him.
Because Noah Williams was a healthy scratch, or at least healthy not playing. Christian Fulton, healthy scratch, or healthy-ish scratch. L'Jarius Sneed, 12 games total the last 2 years.
I'm rooting for Sneed, by the way.
I would love, if Sneed is healthy on this team, it would be amazing.
It'd be incredible. But the point I just keep going back to is I think that people have a unfair viewpoint of Sneed because of what he once was. And
he's not as good as he once was, Sterling.
But he was good once as he ever was.
That's right.
No, I just don't love those conversations. It was like when the Chiefs got DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, look what he did. 3 years ago. Yeah, but he's not that guy.
Well, in the
You're not that
year,
guy, pal.
In that year's defense, he was also putting up counting stats that particular year.
No, I know.
For a bad team.
So
but it wasn't where the separation and the DeAndre Hopkins that we knew of the past.
And even Hollywood Brown,
sure.
that's why I had tempered expectations on him.
Yeah.
And again, maybe Snead because it's the system. Maybe it's Spags and Dave Merritt. Maybe he hated Tennessee. But I just have so many questions, not just about health, but when you were playing at least, it was that bad. 117 out of 117. 104 out of 117. Yeah. I get injuries. I get it. But that is...
Well, what if... here's the thing. What if we're looking at it from a different perspective that the Chiefs are looking at it? What if we're looking at it and looking at the way that Mike Clay presented it, which is Mansour Delane and L'Jarius Sneed? What if the Chiefs are looking at it and going, no, Mansour and Nola are our starters on the outside? Do we forget the first 3 years Sneed was the slot corner for this team?
That's what I said.
And then moved to the outside with McDuffie's rookie year. And then they had McDuffie playing in the slot and then McDuffie moving outside. Sneed was the slot cornerback for 3 years. And then they made him a primary outside corner, got a third-round pick for him, and he got paid a lot of money in Tennessee. So maybe the Chiefs are saying, yeah, we got Sneed back. And if he's healthy, we got a guy who we love in the slot.
And I think that's more or less, I almost view him playing that CRW role to an extent. I think there's a better chance of that than outside. Like, I think at this point, he's more of a slot and maybe even a safety because he played safety in college, which I think has gone a little glossed to because there's, 3 safeties right now currently on the Chiefs roster, unless you count CRW, wherever you want to put him in there because I think he's slot. Yeah. Maybe he's safety, then it's 4. But if you don't count CRW as a safety, you only have 3. Is Snead going to revert back to safety?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you would
there
count
are options.
Yeah, I think right now you would count CRW as a safety.
Probably.
I would at least, just because you've got what are a couple of other options at slot cornerback that they went and drafted and then signed with Cater Kohu. And I think also L'Jarius Sneed is absolutely an option at slot cornerback this year for this team. He may be, you know what, Mike Clay may be right, but just missing the spot. He may be right in that L'Jarius Sneed is starter week number 1. He just has him on the outside, and he might be against Denver starting in the slot and going up against, Jalen Waddle or a Bryant, while Cortland Sutton and Waddle are on the outside with Mansour Delane and Noah Williams, and then starting at the slot is L'Jarius Sneed.
You have options, and that's at least a nice situation to be in.
We also have to acknowledge that the Chiefs have shown in the past that if you know the system and if you're likable, you're going to play.
Yep, they continue to play Tim Ream. I mean, Dan Sorensen, till the end, till the wheels fell off.
Mike Pennell, Derek Nottie.
Yeah. Yep. Go and get the band back together. This guy
Juju.
I trust. I trust this guy. He may not be the athletic player that he once was, but I trust that he's going to be in the spot he's supposed to be. He might get there later than he did a couple years ago, but he knows what his job is. More zone next. All right, wrapping up this hour, we'll talk some college football. Also want to get into a couple of other topics with the Chiefs. We brought up with Kent Swanson about the inline blocking tight end. And the Chiefs' approach this offseason to finding it or ignoring it. We'll get into that. We also want to talk about what does success look like for the local teams in college. KU, K-State, Mizzou. As Big 12 Media Days over, SEC Media Days ahead of us. What does success for a season look like for those schools? And along with the Chiefs topic, as we talked about with the inline blocking tight end, breakout candidates, one particular website and one particular player.
now on Sports Radio 810 Sports Center.
Summer is the perfect time to build your deck, and at Deck's Docks, we urge you to deck it right the first time with Fiberon decking. Fiberon means low maintenance, long-lasting beauty, and with the rich look of real wood without the upkeep. Visit DecksDocks.com to find your closest location. That's DecksDocks.com. Big game in the soccer world today as Monaco and France face off. That game at 3 p.m. Coming out of the USA-Belgium match, looks like Christian Pulisic suffered a microfracture as well as a bone bruise in his lower leg. Looks like he'll be sidelined for several weeks. Home Run Derby participants keep getting announced. Junior Caminero the next in line with Ben Rice of the Yankees. Royals have Jack Caglione, and the Red Sox have All-Star Wilson Contreras. Well, in the NBA, Darren Peterson continues to dazzle in Summer League play. This is SportsCenter.
It's a Thursday edition coming up an hour from now. A little sports or leisure as we'll give away $25 to Johnny's Tavern if you get a sports question. And, Sterling, it's a leisure question. Correct. You got to do that. Not or, but that is the name of it. Sports or leisure coming up an hour from now. That's it. 100%, man. It's a cult classic, too. People say that. People say it's a cult classic. A couple of days away from the Argentinian and Switzerland match coming up on Saturday. A little World Cup action. 3 hours away from what should be a fun, as Sterling would call it, electric match with France and Morocco in the World Cup. We didn't get a chance to talk about this in the first hour as we were discussing the obvious Bobby Witt should be MVP and anybody that disagrees doesn't know ball. No, that's not what we talked about. But we did talk a little bit about the precedent or the historical lack thereof of somebody. It's happened, of somebody on a team that's as bad as this team is and winning the MVP, but also the incredibly rare winning of the MVP if you are a primary DH, which Yordan Alvarez is the leading candidate right now for, and the voting leader for MVP in the American League. So we talked about that. What we didn't get into is also at ESPN with Major League Baseball, Jeff Passan put out this morning the 16 teams as it approaches the trade deadline that are going to be squarely in the buying category, right? The 16 teams that are buying at the trade deadline and the two different scenarios, the best match and then what would be the dream match for a trade. For each of those 16 teams, 30 different players showed up on the list because 2 players showed up in both the best and dream. It was Skubal was the best and the dream for the Dodgers, and Reed Detmers was the best and the dream for a different team. I don't know who it was, but Detmers and Skubal showed up twice. So 30 players out of what would be 32 different categories of 16 teams with the best and dream match. How many Royals showed up? Between the best match, it doesn't have to be dream match. I mean, dream match, again, Skubal is your dream matchup for what it means for your team. How many Royals showed up in best match for this team that's buying for a certain position that they're looking for versus dream? 30 different players were mentioned for 16 different teams.
2. 1.
0.
Well, Waka wasn't. I'm
no,
shocked
Waka,
by Waka.
not even mentioned. Not even mentioned with any team of, hey, this would be the. And it's different if it was like, hey, what would be the best match for this team? And it's the same name for like 4 teams. It'd be different if you're like, okay, so you came up with like 13 names. But also if you look at the ESPN rankings that they put out on the 6th, so on Monday, of the top trade candidates, Waka comes in at number 20. So while he comes in at number 20 overall, he doesn't really land with one specific team where they would go, yeah, this is the guy that is a good match or is the one we want to target for our particular team.
I would have thought Waka and the potential for Daniel Lynch if a team needed a lefty.
I would have thought that too, or an Alex Lang, maybe. I know
that wouldn't make a
yesterday wasn't a save situation. In save situations, he's been perfect this year.
Yeah,
when he's gone out in the ninth to protect the lead, he's
he wouldn't go to a team and be in closer. He would go to a team and be a seventh inning guy.
That's a good point. And so, do you want him to be a seventh inning or eighth inning guy, or do you want him to be your closer? And the way he's performed, you would want him to be your closer, not your seventh or eighth inning guy.
If you're in the hunt, I don't think. That's the guy you want to be your traditional closer. To me, I think Lynch and Walker were the guys I thought of.
Yeah. Typically, if you're going to trade for a closer for another team and you're in contention, you're typically getting that guy to then be your seventh or eighth inning guy.
Correct.
Unless you're getting Chapman or Mason Miller or Hader or something along those lines. Those are different levels of you're trading for that guy to specifically be your closer, as opposed to you've got a closer and you're upgrading your bullpen and you're trading for this guy to come in and he's going to go from a closer to then now he's the seventh or eighth inning guy, and you got two or three closers in your bullpen to close out the seventh, to close the eighth, and to close the ninth. Lang has not been that guy because he hasn't been good in non-save situations. At The Athletic, Ken Rosenthal writes, again, as he writes about different intel around Major League Baseball. Again, Waka, Lugo, likely staying put. Now, we talked about what he wrote a month ago, and he writes and gets back into that. He said, about a month ago, The Athletic reported the Royals were not as comfortable trading right-hander Seth Lugo and or Michael Waka as they were parting with catcher Freddie Fermin at last year's deadline. Nothing has changed since, even though the Los Angeles Angels are the only team with a worse record than the Royals in the American League. A year ago, the Royals knew Carter Jensen was nearly ready for the majors, making Fermin expendable. They have no such potential replacements for Lugo and Waka, and with shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. and third baseman Michael Garcia signed long-term, they do not plan to rebuild. The Royals, according to people briefed on their plans, are telling clubs they will listen on Lugo and Waka, but their asks will be massive. Left-hander Cole Reagans, who recently underwent a UCL repair procedure, is out into the middle of next season. Chris Bubich is eligible for free agency. The Royals will need to add to their 2027 rotation, even if they keep both Lugo and Waka. And they would have only a month to start that process before the lockout begins on December 1st. I love it how just the lockout begins. Like we already know the lockout's going to happen. It's just when it begins on December 1st. So season's over. You got a month to figure out your rotation before the lockout starts. Lugo probably would not bring much back in a trade anyway. His 4.56 ERA is above the 4.22 league average. His 5.45 expected ERA is in the bottom 11%. He'll be 37 next season. He's owed $20 million in 2027, plus a $3 million buyout on a $17 million club or vesting option for 2028. Walk, on the other hand, leads the AL in innings pitched, and at 35 is an all-star for the first time since 2015. He's owed less money than Lugo, $14 million, plus a $1 million buyout, and his deal includes only a limited no-trade clause, while Lugo has a full no-trade protection, according to a person briefed on the details. Still, Waka's expected numbers also might deter some clubs. His 4.05 expected ERA above his actual 3.45 and only slightly better than league average. Would a team meet the Royals' desire for multiple top prospects to acquire him? Seems doubtful. If the Royals' desire for Michael Waka is multiple top prospects to acquire him, then they are not serious about moving him, and they are not a transactional organization.
Correct.
They are we're transactional if we are given an offer we just can't, we're getting godfathered here. We're given an offer we can't refuse, and they want Michael Waka so bad that we're willing to let go of Michael Waka. Now, if you say July 9th, the asking price is 2 top prospects for Michael Waka, I would hang up the phone and say, we'll call you a little bit later and see if you come back to earth.
They're not going to say, we want just a lottery.
August 1st, August 2nd, into the deadline of August 3rd, does it change to 1 middle prospect and 1 lower level live arm? Maybe. And then they'd be willing to move him. Or they're so convinced that next year they will be competing that they're not going to move Waka for whatever you would get back, because the value wouldn't be there to then have Waka in your rotation next year for a season where you plan on competing and winning and going to the playoffs. Because if you don't trade Waka and then next year you don't make the playoffs, you didn't trade him because you wanted him in your rotation to win next year, and then you didn't do that.
Lugo has to be traded.
I would trade him just simply to clear the money off the books.
The money.
It's like if you take on the salary, we don't want anything back. Like legit. Now he has a full no trade clause. So he'd have to agree to that. But it's also, hey, Lugo, you're going to a team that can compete in the playoffs. You're playing out the string on this team. And next year, are you going to be, pitching for a team that's going to, hey, we hope that's the case, but we'll see. But it's like, okay, you need somebody to fill the rotation next year. Imagine if you could fill the rotation if you had $20 million in the till to go and spend on a pitcher when Lugo's making that money. That's all part of the equation as well. Before we get into, in the next segment, we'll get into college football as to what success looks like for the local teams. But we were talking about breakout candidates for the Chiefs and what ESPN has listed as the top breakout candidates for different teams. Every team in the NFL, here's the one they would list as the top breakout candidate. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. If you have, great. If not, great. Do you have a guess, if you haven't seen it, as to who was selected for the Chiefs as the top breakout candidate?
Does breakout have to be, can it be a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, it can be.
Because I was going to say Delane, but I'll go Xavier Worthy.
Okay.
I'm feeling like this is going to be a rookie. I'm going to say Peter Woods.
Peter Woods is not bad, but let's eliminate rookies.
Okay.
Because it is not a rookie. It could be a rookie, but it's not a rookie.
Kenneth Walker would be the easy pick.
But breakout, though. Breakout candidate, yeah. It's a returning player, I'll tell you that much.
Xavier Worthy's a good pick. To be different, though, I'll say... ESPN's not going to say Alohi Gilman. I'll go ahead and say breakout player.
I mean,
George Karlaftis?
Wouldn't be a bad one either.
Noah Williams would be interesting, but ESPN doesn't like Noah Williams, apparently, according to their depth chart.
So that was Mike Clay that did that. This one is Ben Solak that put this together yesterday. So Ben Solak put this together yesterday, and he gets to the Kansas City Chiefs, and he writes, Noah Williams. Here's what he writes about Noah Williams as the Chiefs' breakout star this year. This is one of my guys. A smart press corner with a nose for the football at Cal, Williams seemed like an obvious middle-round Steve Spagnuolo corner up to and including the moment the Chiefs drafted him in the third round. Behind McDuffie and Watson, Williams could never be more than third in the rotation. With both gone, he'll be fighting with Christian Fulton for a starting job opposite Mansour Delane. And Williams is on the inside track. He took his rookie lumps last season, but he had plenty of splashy moments against legitimate NFL receivers. I'd go so far as to say Williams' work as a rookie was part of the reason the Chiefs felt so comfortable letting McDuffie and Watson out of the building. He's the next man up. That's high praise from Ben Solak.
Yeah.
You know, you look nationally, we always wonder, like, what does a national reporter, as they look at the Chiefs, what do they think of the Chiefs? How up to speed are they to where we're watching it as much as they are? Or at least studying it? Or we're actually taking the time to do this and not just like, oh, well, I need to put this out by Wednesday morning, so let me just go ahead and do a quick 32, and then here's this guy, let me do a write-up, here's this guy, let me do a write-up, and then, or to sit back and go, you know what, let me look at the roster. Let me look at, who is potentially breakout, who doesn't count as a breakout candidate, right? So you eliminate those first of all. Then you go through the ones that could be a breakout. Xavier Worthy's a good one.
Yeah.
Because I think that would absolutely fall into the category of breakout candidate to then look more like a first-round pick.
Mine was Worthy on offense, no Williams on defense.
Yeah. Like if I told you, because I would have, if I didn't see it, I would have gone the same route as you, Sterling, and said, well, they've already talked about Noah Williams not even starting. With Mike Clay in a different story. But a different author in Ben Solak, he goes with Noah Williams. I love the pick because I think that's a guy that I would choose as a list of breakout candidates. Because I think there's a couple ways of looking at it, like who would you want to break out, but also who do you think would be on the list of breakout potential candidates? I think Xavier Worthy would absolutely be on that list.
Especially with new wide receiver coach.
Yes.
I think with Bieniemy coming back, I think with Kenneth Walker opening up the run game, so the difference of more balanced boxes. I think Worthy's the biggest benefactor of all the offensive coaching turnover.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy would be on that list. Absolutely. I don't know if Rashee Rice would be on that list just because
you can't. I think
he's too far.
He's broken
not
out.
Too far gone, but he's just entering year 4.
Yeah, but I think Rice has already shown enough. I don't think you can count it as a breakout.
I don't know if he's shown enough, but has he really broke out? He's had moments.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't consider Rice.
He's had streaks of breaking out.
The reason I wouldn't consider him a breakout is because the way he ended the rookie year, I don't know if he came back the next year and looked good, if it would have been like, hey, look at this guy, he broke out.
Yeah.
If he put up 1,100 yards this year, it's a breakout.
Could
you say 1,000?
No.
If he put up 1,000 yards, would you be like, whoa, he kind of...
No.
He's never done it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
So the level of breakout is different depending on the player.
On what you've already done, yeah.
But he hasn't done it. So it would be a breakout.
He averaged like 80 yards.
Yeah. He did it his rookie year to where he had almost 1,000 yards his rookie year.
938
start. Yeah.
And even last year, he averaged 71.5 yards a game. I mean, that's it was only 8 games, but in 8 games, he had 571 yards.
Because I think
that's on pace for 1,100, 1,200 yards.
And I think locally, the way that we view Rashee Rice is different than I think nationally people view Rashee Rice. I don't think if he goes out there and has 1,000 yards, somebody would go, "Wow, what a breakout year for Rashee Rice."
I don't think anyone would be surprised.
I think they would go, "See, Rashee Rice is on the field, and this is what he should look like."
Correct.
I think that would be the view nationally. Whereas I think around here, if he had a wider range of the route tree that he's asked to run, and more responsibility rather than slants and throws down the line of scrimmage, to me, that would be a breakout year for Rashee Rice, of being utilized in a way that they haven't done it so far, because either they're maximizing what they think he's best at, or they're simply doing what they know he can do, and they're not asking him to do something that isn't in his skill set, which is running an entire route tree past the 10 yards down the field, or finding space in different areas past 10 yards down the field, as opposed to wide receiver screen, get the ball out to him, RPO, quick slant, put the ball in his hands and let him run after the catch.
We talk a lot about how the Royals built their team based on a anomaly of a season. Did the Chiefs build their wide receiver room based on an anomaly of a season? One season of Rashee Rice where he didn't even have 1,000 yards, and then due to the off-the-field issues and the injuries, they are assuming that he is going to be this certain player. And recent history, I mean, you want to go back, Sterling, to what we were talking about in the last hour about what have you done for me lately in the past couple of years. Rashee Rice's past 2 years would not indicate that he's going to be this 1,000, 1,100-yard receiver.
Well, no, but he paced for it. Like, when he was healthy, he was good.
Sure,
when he
but
played,
that's
he was
a
good.
hypothetical.
Well, no, because Snead didn't look good when he played. Rice at least put up 71.5 yards a game when he played. That he paced for 1,200 yards. He paced last year in 8 games for 1,200 yards.
And Cal Isbell had a 1,400 OPS when he was pacing for that.
No, he wasn't, because he kept playing, and then he got down to a 651.
And Rashee Rice kept playing, got hurt.
Sure, but he still had the pace for 12. Like, my point is, when he plays, he is good. When Snead played, he was not good. When Isabel eventually got injured and the season is going to be done for him, it didn't end up being good. Just because you have a hot stretch for 2 games, if you'd have had 2 games of 120 yards,
it's the Tyler Tolbert conversation.
No, it's not. It's yes, that would have been the Tyler Tolbert. But Rice has at least. I mean, I'm not the biggest Rice guy by any means, but you can't deny that when he plays, he is a good receiver. I've never said he's a wide receiver 1. I've never said that he's this A.J. Brown or a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL. But when he played, he was on pace for 1,200 yards. That is fact.
I definitely agree. I mean, we can't disagree because the numbers are. But I'm very sick and tired of talking about hypothetically what his stat line could be if he stays out of trouble and he stays healthy. We've got a large sample size of what he is at this point.
Yeah. That I think we can all agree. I agree. I totally agree with that. I think it's the splitting hairs of what constitutes breaking out versus what constitutes someone that has done it at some point in their career already.
Yeah.
And I think with the fact that Rice has done it would eliminate from a breakout because he's seen it. We've seen it. He just hasn't done it lately. Where Noah Williams, we haven't seen it. He didn't get a chance to play. He showed flashes, like a little bit here or there, where Now, if he's named a starter, he could break out by being a quality cornerback that has more flashes and then also shows more consistency, that he didn't have that path to playing time because of McDuffie and Watson. And so he was, locked in a spot that if guys ahead of him were healthy, he wasn't really going to play all that much.
Yeah, I think to me it's kind of like Worthy, because Worthy has shown flashes but not the consistency. He's shown flashes. And we'll see. I just think that Worthy to me is the guy that if you said, I think he would surprise a lot of people. If he went over 1,000 yards, that would surprise a lot of people. I don't think anyone would be surprised if Rice went over 1,000 yards. I think if Worthy goes over 1,000, we're having a whole different conversation about who he is, what he can be, and where the outlook for Worthy is going forward.
Yeah.
So 1,000 yards is the benchmark for Worthy. And would you say 1,200 is like a breakout season for Rice? Because there is levels to this. If Rashee Rice goes out in 2026 and puts up 1,300 receiving yards, he did have a breakout year. I mean, that's just a different benchmark. But
I think that's a good point. I think you'd have to put him in that kind of like he broke out to say like over a season he's a guy that could put up numbers of a number one. Whether it's the true JSN number one that makes the quarterback better as opposed to the quarterback making him better. We'd have to figure that out as to what the numbers meant, right? He had 1,400 receiving yards. Okay, how did he get there? How did JSN get there? By being a premier receiver who makes Sam Darnold better.
Yes.
Did Rashee Rice get there because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy and Chad O'Shea made him better? And that's why Rashee Rice ended up getting there. But, I mean, Rashee Rice has already almost had 1,000 yards in a season in his rookie year. Worthy's most is 638.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you throw in, 362 more yards over the course of a season and get to 1,000, it's
big difference.
It's as opposed to like 60 more yards for Rashee Rice to get to 1,000.
Yeah.
But again, if you're talking about getting to 1,300, you'd be looking at 360 some odd yards to get to 1,300.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
And keep in mind the year that Worthy had a breakout year, so to speak. I mean, not.
But it was his rookie year. It wasn't even a breakout.
It wasn't a breakout, but Rashee
I
Rice
don't know if you know
playing.
the word breakout.
Because I don't think
How do you define the word breakout?
Jason and I are defining it.
I would think somebody that's been there, hasn't had an opportunity to show, has the talent to maybe do it, but has to do it consistently and hasn't.
I would argue Worthy's had the opportunity to show it. I mean, go back to his rookie year when Rice was not on the field. Is that a breakout season?
So maybe opportunity isn't the right word. I don't know. Because if you've had the opportunity.
We're going around in circles.
No, I agree. Because if we're talking about it, it's sort of like defining what's MVP for you. What's the most valuable player? Is the best player on the best team? Is it the best player overall? Can you be an MVP on a team that sucks? All of those things. Like breaking out, because I would put Xavier Worthy in the category of breaking out, but I wouldn't put Rashee Rice. So I'm trying to figure out why I would make that line of demarcation between the two. And Worthy had the opportunity, but maybe you feel like breaking out would then mean getting closer to being a first-round wide receiver level production, as opposed to Rashee Rice was a second-round pick and almost exceeded expectations year number one, to where it's going to be hard for him to exceed expectations.
Jason,
almost 1,000 yards.
You
exceeded.
and I are on the same page because we keep agreeing.
But Rashee Rice exceeded expectations year one for him as a second-round pick.
No, what it really is it comes down to the Supreme Court conversation of
what are you going to say?
It's porn.
I figured it was.
You know it when you see it.
Yep, that's right. And you know what? In 2022, that offense, that was football porn. And
you knew it when you see it.
And absolutely, you absolutely you knew it when you saw it. And we can all, I guess, agree on that. Good call.
If Worthy put up 1,000 yards in 26, he'd be doubling last year.
Oh yeah.
And that'd be a breakout.
Right, I think that would be a breakout.
So for Rice to break out, it'd probably be what, 13, 14?
Well, you'd have to double it, so it'd be 1,800 yards from. I think it eliminates
the break out of this segment.
I know, but but in people's minds, does it eliminate a breakout if you've seen it happen over the course of a year with Rashee Rice, to where he became the Chiefs' number one target and was that good, and over the course of the season, had he been that guy at the beginning of the year, when he was a rookie and wasn't being relied upon as much, that he would have been a 1,300-yard receiver. Like, we've seen that happen. Like, I don't know that he can break out when I already have seen what he can do consistently. And I haven't seen it from Noel Williams. And I haven't seen it from Xavier Worthy. And maybe the breakout for Xavier Worthy is he gets coached up to a degree that he's staying in bounds. He's becoming more of a downfield threat. And he's growing into, okay, this guy runs the entire route tree. He's a go-to guy for Mahomes. Mahomes trusts him. He's now looking for number one when he takes the snap and not staring and seeing where 87 is and not just feeding the ball down the line of scrimmage to number 4.
Given what we've seen, if he stays in bounds, let's say he puts up 700 yards and he's more of a deep threat, I would not a breakout season, but I consider that a success based on what we've seen.
Well, I would too. I would consider that as if Xavier Worthy has 700 yards this year. Yeah, I'd consider that a success.
Disagree.
What's a success for Xavier Worthy?
I think 850 this year.
So you're talking about 15 yards per game?
More?
Yeah, 15 yards per game more to get from 700 to 850.
Probably. I think 850. For me, I'm buying stock in Worthy. I was the guy who was out when he was drafted, and I'm the guy who's in now. Everyone has no nuance. Everyone wants to go, oh, well, he was bad and injured. He's done. No, I'm in. I'm buying stock. 850 plus. Rip it.
Fade it.
I'm fading that. I'm taking the under.
We'll see. You know what? We'll eventually get into our Chiefs ZOUs. Right after I pay up for the Royals ZOUs for this year for me.
After I pay up the Chiefs. No, I pay the Chiefs.
No,
that was that one who brought in.
Tomorrow we will get into we'll do our update of Royals ZOUs tomorrow with Mick Schaefer and see where we're at the what is essentially the All-Star break. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. What's success for the local teams? And can one of the local teams break out or not?
Yes. Break out of that and break into this. The biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Oh, no, this is silly. I put something on this guy. He went out in the 54th minute. Does that mean my bet's over? Well, on a lot of places, it is. But FanDuel says, that's so dumb. We think if your guy gets subbed off, your bet should continue. So what do? Well, FanDuel Super Sub. If your player is subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match early, your bet now continues on with the substitute. And sometimes this is even better because if your guy goes out, maybe he was tired, right? Fresh legs come in. That's a fresh opportunity to score. I love this for assists. I do it for goals and assist combo. I got something on for the game today with France and Morocco. I have Mbappe with a goal and France winning. That gave me plus money, a nice little 2-leg parlay. That's what I'm rocking with. You can fade me. You can follow me. The choice is up to you. But FanDuel Super Sub gives me that peace of mind as well. So this way, you're in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com/local to get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, heading up until 2 o'clock. We got some sports or leisure coming up about 20 minutes from now. $25 to Johnny's Tavern we'll give away if you get a sports question and a leisure question right. Let's get into some college football here. And as we get closer to fall camp / summer camp for the local teams and closer to kickoff for the college football season, we've sort of discussed or at least brought up the thought around what makes a season a success for the local teams. And, you know, we heard from Lance Leipold. We heard from Colin Klein yesterday with Todd Lebo down in Dallas. SEC Media Days will be taking place. You know, the SEC Media Week will be taking place. And so we'll get into a little bit more about hearing from Mizzou, and maybe Eli would give us an update on Ahmad Hardy and what the chances of that, of him playing this year are. So let's go through the teams that we saw at Big 12 Media Day. Let's start off with Michael. What is success for KU this year? Simple as make a bowl?
I think a successful season for Kansas football would be 6 wins. And I wish I could sit here and say, oh, they can absolutely reach 6 wins. I'm not the biggest optimist when it comes to the current state of the program. Just I think there's so much going on, you know, behind the scenes, the roster turnover. They lost Jalen Daniels, and Jalen Daniels was at Kansas for a long time.
Yeah.
And so now there's the question of who's going to be the starter. Is it going to be Cole Ballard or Isaiah Marshall? And I'm actually leaning, I think it's going to be Cole Ballard who wins that job.
Interesting.
And I had a buddy who worked in the scouting and recruiting department, and he basically was like, they're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to be a run-first football team. And Lance even mentioned it yesterday that there's almost an opportunity for both quarterbacks to see the field and have special packages with Kotelnicki designing it. I think they're going to be a run-first team. I don't really know how good the defense is going to be. There's a lot of question marks surrounding that. They haven't really had a good defense in the last 5 or 6 years. So I think 6 wins would be the ceiling, as sad as that is to say. But I think they're going to be around the 4 or 5. I think it's going to be a disappointing season.
I view it a couple ways because I think there's a bigger picture, and then there's maybe even a specific micro view of just a 1-year success or lack thereof. To me, if we're looking at like a specific year, it's a pass-fail with getting to a bowl or not. I mean, it's year number 6 now, and it's 2 years removed from going to a bowl game. And I know the opportunity was there, but the opportunity was there because so many other teams turned down the invitation to go to a bowl.
You had a pity bowl.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, you had somebody's got to play in these bowl games invite, you know. But I also think, while that's the micro view of this year, the bigger picture view could also be, what does the offense look like with Kotelnicki returning? What do the quarterbacks look like with Ballard and Marshall? And if it is a transition from Leipold to Kotelnicki, does the offense look revitalized like it did early on with Lance Leipold? Or is the offense stagnant, the defense isn't good enough, and they're winning 3 or 4 games, and it's like, okay, well, you got the guy back that you were hoping would reignite the offense, and it didn't happen. Is he definitely the guy to take over for Lance Leipold if Leipold were to step down at the end of the year and retire? And this is the coach in waiting as to why you brought him back? Because I think 3 or 4 wins while the offense struggles would be a incredibly disappointing
season. It'd be worst case scenario.
It would be awful.
I mean, if that happens, if you go 5-7 again, but the offense looks great, you're sitting there going, okay, well, at least there's some optimism going forward.
At least you got one side of the ball that you feel confident about, that you need to go and address the defense to get better, but you got Kotelnicki and you've got the offensive side, and like, okay, that you feel confident moving forward.
And without Jalen Daniels, so it's not just the quarterback who's a veteran making the plays. No, I think, Darcy, you're pretty right on this one. I think 6 wins probably. I think 6 wins and the offense looking good would be, I think, realistic expectations, right? I was too high on all 3 local schools last year. I'm going to learn my lesson and be a little more nuanced, I think. Big 12 isn't great. We won't know who all is going to be in it and who's going to be good. But the Big 10 and the SEC continue to have a jumbled mess.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how good the top end of the Big 10 is, the top end of the SEC. Who's the top end of the Big 12? Tech?
Still
Still Tech.
Mm-hmm.
But after Tech,
BYU, Utah.
But no one's sitting here going, BYU and Utah are these.
Mm-hmm.
You put those teams in the you put those 2 teams in the Big 10 or the SEC, and I don't think anyone's sitting here going, oh, man, those are some tough-ass teams. Texas Tech, I think you would. No matter where they would go, you'd say that's a damn good team.
I mean, at what point, though, is that just the conference? Like, that's every year we're going to have that conversation.
Well, I know, but so I'm saying it should be easier for Kansas and some other schools to get to 6 wins.
You would hope.
Kansas
fan, you would hope.
Because I'm looking at their schedule right now. It is difficult. Missouri at home, right?
On 9/11, by the way.
You at least have that at home. Then you go to London for Arizona State, which is weird. A little weird. That's going to be a tricky one. I don't take a lot of whatever happens in that game, like I said with K-State last year. Whatever happens in these college overseas games, I don't take a lot. I don't take a lot from. But you have at Utah, tough. At K-State, tough. At TCU. But you also play Central Florida at home. You play Baylor. What are they going to look like?
Middle of the pack, Big 12.
At Oklahoma State, what are they going to look like after last year?
Middle of the pack. I think so.
I mean,
but those other teams you mentioned, TCU, Kansas State, Utah, those are all going to be top 6 or 7 teams. Expected to be. I mean,
the Big 12.
2024, Arizona State was picked to finish last. So we know, like, going into the season versus what actually happens. You know, TCU
Correct.
a number of years ago
change.
playing in the national title was like, this team was not expected to do this. So the Big 12 stopped having preseason polls. So then other publications like USA Today then went around and had media members vote on that to get their own, not an official one from the Big 12 since they stopped doing that.
I think if Kansas gets to 6 wins with the offense looking good, you would take that in a heartbeat.
I think that's
settle out of court right now.
Yeah. Yes, I think that is a success. Kansas State.
I think it would be tough to get to 6.
Yeah, I do too. Kansas State, to me, I think contend for the Big 12. I know it's year 1 for Colin Klein, but it's year 4 for Avery Johnson being there. It's not brand new to where Colin Klein is introducing something that Avery Johnson is totally unfamiliar with. They've worked together, helped recruit him there. There was talk about him transferring to A&M, at least for a little bit, and they have that relationship. And I would hope that Colin Klein can find a way to get the best out of Avery Johnson. You're picked anywhere from like 4th to 8th this year. And competing for the Big 12 championship, to me, doesn't mean that you finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. It could mean that the last 2 Big 12 games of the season, there's a path to playing for the Big 12 championship. You're competing for that to be in that spot. Whereas, like, the last 2 years, it's like K-State, I'm picking them to win the Big 12. And it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
This year, they're picked 5th, 6th, 7th. Can you finish 3rd or 4th and you're in there? You got a chance. You're a game here or there. You can look back and go, man, that game that they dropped, insert game here, that was so close. They didn't come away with it, but they exceeded what people may have thought. Like, I don't even want to put like a number on it. We'll get into a number when we predict every game and things like that. To me, it's a matter of, can you be in contention for the Big 12, comparatively speaking, to your peers with year number 1 of Colin Klein and a schedule that
lines up nice
for you this year, that you don't play Texas Tech, you don't play BYU, you don't play Utah.
And for Kansas, why it's tough for Kansas, a lot of those quote-unquote easier peer games are on the road. Like, the teams you play that are good are at home, so maybe you say it's a positive that way, but you don't have just locked up wins. K-State, I feel like, has a few where you're like, okay, this looks pretty nice. Their toughest game might be week 3 against Tulane.
Yeah. But I mean, the teams that are picked to finish ahead of them, Texas Tech number 1.
Yes.
They don't play them. BYU number 2. They don't play them. Utah number 3. They don't play them. Houston number 4. They play them at home coming off a bye. Arizona at 5. They play them at home the second to last game of the season.
Yep.
And then TCU ahead of them. TCU, they play on the road.
Yeah.
So of those teams that are all picked ahead of them, of the 6 teams ahead of them, they only play 3 of them, and 2 of them are at home. They play one of those teams on the road.
It's a nice schedule break for K-State with the change, with the turnover, but coaching side of things.
It's a rough end of the season when you go to TCU, home for Arizona, and at Iowa State. That may be to where we go, look, coming out of that Oklahoma State game on November 7th, and you're like, okay, they got 3 games remaining. They're contending for the Big 12, depending on what happens in Fort Worth, in Manhattan, and then in Ames the last 3 weeks. You go 3-0, you win you're in the Big 12 championship. You go 2-1, it's going to be close. 1-2, you're out. 0-3, forget about it.
I think you're right. I think that would be a realistic in a solid season, is if even if you end up at 8-4, but you drop 2 down the stretch, you're sitting here going, all right, we saw enough that this is a program moving forward, even in an easier season.
Yeah,
a program moving forward that we can build around. We can build around Klein.
Yeah,
that's a huge momentum season. I mean, you can, like you said, build around Klein. Now you've got things in place that if 8-4 is the first year under a new coach, just think about what the following 2 or 3 years could look like.
You would hope. You'd have to then make a quarterback change. But then you get into that, and, Colin Klein, depending on what Avery Johnson looks like, you go out on the open market with some NIL money, and you're attracting the quarterbacks, right? It's like, okay, well, look what he's done with a couple of quarterbacks there in the colleges that he's coached at, and he played quarterback. He understands that. You might even be able to go out and get a guy that, reminds you of yourself and say, no, I want to get a guy that's going to be tough and run the football and, doesn't have to carry the ball 317 times like Colin Klein did his junior year and lead the Big 12 in rushing attempts as a quarterback. Doesn't have to be that, but maybe a guy that's more of a dual threat player. Or maybe you go and say, we're going to be a passing offense. We're going to run the ball by handing it off to our running backs. I mean, you find the quarterback, you build around him, depending on who that quarterback is.
Yeah.
And we'll see. What about Mizzou? We'll get into a little bit more of Mizzou when the SEC Media Days come along.
Yeah.
But Ahmad Hardy it's a tough one because Roberts was good, but the combination of Hardy and Roberts was really good, and I don't know what to expect of the team that is reliant upon their outside zone running game that will be missing one of, if not the best running backs.
This season is also a bear.
Oh, yeah.
This is a bear. I mean, even some of the games.
More of a tiger.
I was going to say it's a tiger.
Yeah.
Some of the games you play, at Mississippi State, sure. But you're also on the road against Ole Miss. Arkansas is not great, but still you're on the road at Arkansas. And you're on the road against Georgia. You play Texas. You're at Ole Miss. You play Texas A&M. You play Florida. You play Oklahoma. Kentucky, who's had your number for a lot of the hilarious SEC team.
Yeah, Kentucky is the break from Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. Kentucky's mixed in there. Texas, Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma.
Which is the one SEC school that's had your number.
Yeah.
What's funny is...
And that comes off the bye week where you go at Arkansas, Texas, Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma to finish up the season.
What's funny is over the past 3 years, only 3 SEC teams have won more games than Missouri. Missouri's been a pinnacle of consistency without the top-end results. But they've been a team that continues to win, 8, 9, the occasional 10 games. They have those back-to-back 10-win seasons. I think you're looking at probably if Missouri got 8 wins this year, and
my God,
I think with this schedule, you get 8 wins with this schedule against what we know right now, the expectations. If you got 8 wins with this schedule, that's a top 20 team in the nation, easy. You're not making a college football playoff, obviously. But if you got 8 wins, you'd sit here and go, okay, so Eli can do it with a lot of change. You lost a lot of guys to the NFL. Last year was the year to get it done. It didn't happen because the quarterback play of Bo Pribula was not good. And then after that, it was just you lost Sam Horn. Drew Pine was out last year as well when he started. I mean, last year was your chance, and things did not fall your way with quarterback. Okay? They're not always going to be an easy schedule. This one's tough.
Yep.
If you get 8 wins with Eli this year, you're still feeling pretty good moving forward.
I mean, I would, again, I would settle right now because you would be undefeated in the non-con, which means that you beat Kansas, but you're also 5-4 in conference play with that schedule to get to 8 wins.
Yeah.
I mean,
you kidding me?
I'll take 8 wins right. And the such unknown of Ahmad Hardy changing over at quarterback with Simmons.
You almost need to start off 5-0 because
Yeah. And
because at Mississippi State and Florida, and those are maybe your two easiest. Kentucky late, but
and then go 3 and 4 the rest of the way.
When you consider at Mississippi State and Florida the two easiest, two of the easiest games.
Yeah, they've the beginning of the season has to be racking up wins.
This is kind of an interesting hypothetical, and it kind of goes back to what Sterling was saying about, if Kansas wins 6 games but the offense looks good, that's kind of best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather see Mizzou win 7 to 8 games primarily through the running game and the defense, like how they won last year? Or would you rather them win maybe 6 games, but you see Drink finally get the quarterback right? Because I think that's kind of the big question. Like, can he get that position right?
Because Simmons isn't a 1-year guy.
He's 2-year, right?
Yeah, he's got a couple years of eligibility. So, yeah, I would do that because the one thing that I have trust in Eli Drinkwitz to do is to game plan a running game.
And a good defense for the most part.
To have a running game and have defensive players. And so, yeah. And if Ahmad Hardy doesn't play this year, you would expect him to return in 2027 and not necessarily go into the draft in 2026 coming off a gunshot wound and recovering from that and not going out there and playing and showing that he's still Ahmad Hardy, because then he'd have to go through the draft process and people going, well, I haven't seen him in a game. Does he look the same? Does he run the same? Does he have that same relentless style where he's breaking everybody's tackle? Well, can he still do that? I don't know. I haven't seen it. So if he doesn't play this year, you would then expect, if they get Austin Simmons and he is the guy that you say, wow, they found a quarterback, and then you would potentially be bringing back Ahmad Hardy for 2027. I think that would be more important than the quarterback is just generic, but it's the offensive line and it's the running game, and Jamal Roberts was good and stepped up and some other guys, but Simmons was just sort of replaceable, as opposed to, like, we thought Brady Cook was going to be generic, and Brady Cook turned out to be the guy that would make the plays when you needed them to be made.
He did.
And Prabula wasn't that.
No, he was not.
Horn wasn't that for one game. Zollers wasn't that. Drew Pine wasn't that. And if Austin Simmons is that and you win 6 or 7 games, because I think the over-under for Mizzou is probably going to be 6.5.
Their expected right now is like 7.3.
Really?
I don't know what the betting market says, but that's their, like.
It may be out there, but if I'm guessing, looking at the schedule right now, it'd be like 6.5 because of.
I'd probably say 6.5 too.
What you're looking at, you're going to have to. That would mean
this is tough.
That would mean you're 3-0, and then you're 4-5 in conference play to get over 6.5. With a number of unknowns on this team.
I know, but
defensive turnover.
Eli's done a great job getting there now.
Unknown about Ahmad Hardy.
I'm sure teams now are kind of feeling the same about Missouri.
Yeah.
Where this is
like, oh man, you got to play Missouri.
Yeah.
Like Ole Miss. Well, then you got to go to Missouri after you play whatever team the week before. Like, they're probably looking at that as well. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Well, the world's biggest soccer tournament continues to roll along. We are down to the 8 teams remaining, and we get underway today at 3 o'clock with France and Morocco. I gave you some of those numbers a little bit earlier with France and Morocco and what you can do at Kalshi, which is trade every match from opening stage all the way to the final, and we are getting into some of these amazing matchups. And, a game that's going to be played on Saturday here in Kansas City is Argentina as a heavy favorite. And there are a number of people that feel like maybe the Swiss are going to be up for knocking off Argentina. They had a survive game where they barely found a way to get out of the game against Egypt, whereas Switzerland is just playing really good soccer, has some strikers, has some goal-scoring ability, where on that one on Saturday, might look at and go, right now trading at 43% is over 2.5 goals. And you know what? If this final is 2-1, you get a goal or two from Switzerland, you probably expect that you're going to get a goal from Argentina. That 43%, $100 is going to bring you back $223. $10 is going to bring you back $23. You can also then, as those goals start to come in, if that's the case, maybe you double it, and then you maybe go in and put it on 3.5. Things like that. You can do that at Kalshi because you're trading against peers in a live market. There's no house. As the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Your money starts to increase. Let me go ahead and trade out of that. Now let me trade into a different position and maximize what I can do with whatever the money that I started with. And for a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code JASON810, JASON810 to get $10 when you trade 10. It's Kalshi, 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 trade the beautiful game.
18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
All right, wrapping up this hour, 913-381-810, playing a little sports or leisure on the other side of the break, 913-381-810, $25 Johnny's Tavern will give away. If you get a sports question and a leisure question right, you will win $25 to Johnny's Tavern. Again, 913-381-810. We'll come back, we'll tell you how to play, we'll tell you what the categories are. We'll go through all of those things with you as we continue rolling on this Thursday edition of the show. 2 hours away from, you know what? I'm just going to call it the Elite Eight. Ooh. People can call it the quarterfinals all you want, but we call it soccer. They call it football. We call it soccer. They call it the quarters. We call it the Elite Eight around here, damn it.
Gosh, I'm proud to be an American.
The divisional round.
Our birds are free, baby.
Caw-caw.
Sports Radio 810 Sports Center.
This Sports Center update is brought to you by Conley Plumbing. Summer is here and trees are growing. Clogging sewers with roots. Be proactive. July special for Conley Plumbing Solutions is a camera inspection of the main drain for only $129. Call 913-768-7676 or visit ConleyPlumbingSolutions.com. Big game in the soccer world today as Monaco and France face off. That game at 3 p.m. Coming out of the USA-Belgium match, looks like Christian Pulisic suffered a microfracture as well as a bone bruise in his lower leg. Looks like he'll be sidelined for several weeks. Home Run Derby participants keep getting announced. Junior Caminero the next in line with Ben Rice of the Yankees. Royals have Jack Caglione, and the Red Sox have All-Star Wilson Contreras. Well, in the NBA, Darren Peterson continues to dazzle in Summer League play. This is Sports Center.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Sports and Leisure Time on this Thursday, wrapping up the 4 hours of the show. Final hour here, 913-381-810 is the phone number. How you play, you give us a call. The phone number, 913-381-810. You get a sports question, get a leisure question, you get them both right, you win. Get either of them wrong, you lose. But the question is out there available for you to call in and request if you know the answer to it, or you have a decent idea of what the answer is. Or certainly you can get some fresh questions in those particular categories. What are the categories, you ask? Well,
what are they, Jason?
Well, I'll tell you. I knew you asked. I could see it in your mind. You know, could hear it in your mind. What is it? What are the categories? Well, on the sports side, we've got Major League Baseball on the sports side.
Sure.
And then we also have World Cup, U.S. men's national team knockout round questions. And then we have World Cup, just general World Cup questions. So how about that?
Love it.
All right. What do you think about that, Sterling? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah.
Do you have a pipe?
Nope, but you do.
I'll pack it.
You can put it in there. What about the leisure, Sterling?
Name that movie. I like these Name That Movie ones because I feel like they're kind of fun. Riddles that no one's ever going to pick them because people hate me and they don't like riddles. Well, new one in honor of Bobby Witt Jr. What?
Yeah.
Did I say something?
No.
Okay. In honor of Bobby Witt Jr., name that war.
Oh.
Wins above replacement.
Okay.
So they are war questions.
The Persian.
That war.
Stop giving away questions.
No, he was just naming bodies of water. Persian Gulf.
Darcy.
The Gulf.
Name that war in honor of Bobby wins above replacement.
No, I knew what you were getting at. I think, did Michael think you were going with Players' War? And
that's kind of what I was thinking.
And because that's the leisure side. He's on the leisure side, so he doesn't do the sports stuff.
No, you're okay.
I don't know how to run this game. I've done it for almost a year.
You know what? You'll get it. You'll figure it out. We all learn. All right, we're all in this together. You know what I mean? It's a community. That's what it is.
Learn funny is best is on Monday.
Well, you know what? I learned that then.
Okay.
All right, 913-381-810. Ready to play. Sterling, you good to go?
I guess.
Michael?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go ahead and do it, as he says. Let's go to, first up is Avery today, leading us off in a little sports or leisure. Avery, what side would you like to start with, sir?
I'll do a General World Cup.
All right.
General World Cup?
General World Cup. All right. Who has scored the most goal? Oh, no, General World Cup, sorry. That was knockout round one. So General World Cup, let's go with this one. You know what? Let's it's along those same lines in terms of the question, but who holds the record for the most goals for the U.S. in World Cup history? Group stage or knockout round, just total goals scored in World Cup competition.
What's the number? Like 7?
5.
5? Feels like
5.
Probably Landon Donovan. Yeah. Man, like, last time I was on, you asked me 3 of the top 7. But I said number 8 was Tim Howard for Caps. I was like, where is this cutoff line? It was like 126 games played, and then like he had 121. Anyway, I'll say Landon Donovan.
Landon Donovan's correct. 5 of them for Landon Donovan. That is the record for the U.S. men's national team goals in World Cup competition.
Good for you.
Thank you. Oh, him. Sorry.
And for Landon.
I was going to say it's more good for Landon. He's the one that actually holds the record. So
yeah, it's a very low number, though.
Yeah, but still good for him. You know,
I'd take it. I'd put that in my pipe and smoke it.
Oh, great. Good for you, man. What about Leisure, Avery? Since Sterling is.
How do you name that movie?
No, dude. Of all the ones, gosh.
Of all the ones and all the.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Dirty Harry?
Well, kind of.
So that's the character, but was it a different titled one with the same character?
Correct.
Lethal Force, maybe? Or
you're really close.
Deadpool? Lethal?
No, you're close.
Cool. Is it 2 words?
It is 2 words. As I said, you're close because you're like right on it, but you're using synonyms almost.
Because I got both the words wrong.
If it's Dirty Harry, synonyms is like unclean dick.
No.
Dirty Harry. That was synonyms, right? Isn't that what they are? Dirty, unclean, Harry, Richard.
Is it deadly instead of lethal?
No, but like what happens if quickly hit something?
What are you laughing about, Michael? I'm just giving you synonyms here.
What happens if you quickly hit something?
Yeah, what would you call that? 2 cars crashing out of nowhere.
Jab.
Accident. Crash.
What?
I mean, it's like I don't know.
I don't know if I can give it to him. Like, I feel.
I don't think you can. It's Avery.
I
feel
feel
only say it in the one movie. I mean, there's like 4 of those movies, right?
Yeah, there are. That's what made it hard.
Right, but that's the only one where he says it.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because there's like Deadpool, right? Is like the 4th one.
Yeah.
And what's the first one?
A lot of pontificating.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, like an impact, like sudden impact.
Yep, there you go, sudden impact.
Wow, really got there, Sterling. Way to hold his hand. You were like the Sherpa for him climbing this mountain.
You're welcome. You can call me Tenzing Norgay.
That's fine. Avery, we'll put you on hold, and you can talk with Michael on the other side if you so choose. Well done. Nice job.
I love Tenzing Norgay.
There you go. Don't we all? Yeah. Yes. Did he actually get the name right, and you were just in the vicinity?
What do you mean?
With the name of the
sudden impact?
The Sherpa?
No, Tenzing Norgay is who it is.
Okay.
That's a Sherpa.
I know, but you said like you said a different name.
No, I didn't.
It didn't sound like.
I'm sick. I'm sorry. It hurts.
Whatever.
Put that in your pipe and smoke.
Yeah,
let's go to Tim next on Sports Radio 810. Tim, Sports or Leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Ooh, so just one clarification. So the Bobby Witt one on Leisure is really a sports category.
No, it's about wars.
Wins against. Oh, truly?
Yeah, it's about wars.
So it's kind of like world history continued from previous week.
Yeah, kind of, but just strictly about war.
Not wins above replacement, though.
No, it's just an honor of
stupid
him.
in my book. All right, let's go with that one. Wait, you got some good riddles this week, though?
I have great riddles.
Let's go with that. My world history is gonna bite me one of these days.
So that means you want riddles?
I do, please.
Okay. It has keys, but no locks. Space, but no rooms. You can enter, but you can't go inside. What is it?
That's a lot of stuff for a riddle. Can you repeat it, please?
Say it again.
It has keys, but no locks. Space.
Keys, no locks. Okay.
Space, but no rooms. You can enter, but you can't go inside.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, Jason got it.
A typewriter.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
Keyboard. Yeah, keyboard. Yeah.
Nice
See?
job.
Good job, Tim.
Although
I'm so old,
it does have a lock, though.
Yeah, although I was going to say the lock, because it's got a caps lock.
It got a caps lock, and that's where I question that riddle, but everything else was...
I questioned as well.
Yeah.
I questioned the entire integrity of the game.
I liked it.
All right, Tim, on to the sports side. We got some Major League Baseball. We have World Cup, U.S. Men's National Team, knockout round specific questions, and also just general World Cup.
Yeah. So baseball's just general baseball, not Royals.
Most of it's Royals. There's a couple general. There's actually just one general.
Okay, let's go with the baseball then.
All right.
That sounds good.
Very good. Let's do. Let's. All right. So Tyler Tolbert became the 12th Royals player ever to have multiple 5-hit games in his Royals career. There are only 4 players to have 3 or more. By the way, he did it back-to-back games, but he's just the 12th one to do it in his entire career. There are 4 players to have 3 or more 5-hit games. Name 2.
And is one the placeholder?
It is.
So I can actually play him this round?
Yeah. Name 2.
George Brett.
All right. Yep. He's the free space. He had 5.
And now I think it's one of his peers in the earlier part of his career. But I'm also thinking, I remember Seitz going a few games like 6 for 7 and 5 probably similar. So there's 4 though, right?
There are 3 other ones. So just
so I could
one of the other 3.
I should take the real Hal McRae.
So there are 3 other ones besides George Brett.
Oh, not in.
And you can just pick out any of those other 3 that you may have already mentioned.
And a few of them are probably modern era too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Pick out just one of the other 3 that you've already mentioned. Come on, Tim.
Just one of the other 3.
Yeah, there's one of the other 3.
So
and
McRae?
You've already mentioned him.
Okay. I think I'll go with Seitzer.
Seitzer is correct. Well done. It was like, I think Seitzer was up. I'm like, yeah, all right, just say Seitzer. Hal McRae.
Yeah, I remember that 6 for 7 game there.
Yeah.
I think I was at the 6 for 7 game. That was crazy.
Yeah, the 2 others, these are interesting here. Sterling or Tim, as you're already a winner, but you want to throw a dart as to the 2 other players to have 3 or more 5-hit games in their Royals career.
Beltran may have been there.
He did not get there.
Yeah, Beltran.
He did not get there.
No?
Was Mike Sweeney. It feels like something that the Sweeney dog would have done.
Did not get there either, but this was a teammate of those guys around that era.
Damon or Die.
Neither of those either.
Wow. John Buck.
No, it wasn't a Jean Buck.
Joe Randa.
The Joker.
Joe Randa was one, okay.
The Joker, and then one more since Joe Randa.
Amos Otis.
Nope, since Joe Randa.
Since Joe Randa. Is it going to be something
Not
silly?
He's not a fast guy, so the fact that he got 3 of these 5-hit games,
Perez.
not Salvi, but
He's slow.
But another not fast guy.
Kendrys Morales was pretty slow.
Salvi contemporary, not fast guy.
Mike Moustakas was pretty slow.
Got a lot of hits.
Melky Cabrera was pretty slow and got a lot of
played for the Royals for a while to have 3 different 5-hit games in his
Alex
career.
Gordon was pretty fast, though.
All right, it's Billy Butler. Let's move on.
I said Billy Butler.
When?
No, you did not.
You did not say Billy Butler.
Didn't I say Billy
No, you
Butler?
said
Like
Salvi
first?
and Kendry Morales and Jean Buck and Carlos Beltran, and you did not name Billy
I said
Butler.
Billy Butler first. I'm sorry. I didn't say it again because I thought I already said it.
Yeah, well, you did not. Well, you thought wrong. If you were thinking, you wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, I already said it, so.
No, in your mind doesn't count, okay? We can't hear your mind. You know what I mean?
I swear I thought I said, I'm like, well, I'm not going to say Billy Butler again and be an idiot and just be like, Jackal. Is it Jackal?
It's not. It's Billy Butler. All right, we'll put you on hold, Tim. Get your information. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh.
My mind is a crazy place.
That's funny. I already said Billy Butler. I immediately started to question myself. No,
seriously, I was
yeah.
I thought I said Billy Butler first.
No, you definitely got to Kendrys Morales, though, and Melky Cabrera.
Of course I'm going to get to those guys, dude.
Let's go to John next on Sports Radio 810 WHB. John, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
We're going to start with some war. What is it good for? Absolutely.
Yeah. Great song. Yeah. All right. Let's go with this one. The common folks in France were heavily taxed and starving while the rich and royal frolicked carefree. And so the former banded together to revolt against the then theocratic and monarchist governments who were completely out of touch with the greater public. Pretty sure a head rolled.
Oh, wow. Heads are going to roll.
Well, is this as simple as just saying the French Revolution? Or
It is that simple, yes. You nailed it. Congratulations.
Okay.
In France, we have resolutions. In America, you bow down to a rodent on steroids. All right, on to the sports side, we have Major League Baseball, a lot of Royals specific, also then one general one. We have men's knockout round, World Cup, U.S. questions, and then just general World Cup.
Well, I'd love MLB. Is Denny in the studio today?
He might be.
Yeah.
You know, we'll find out.
I'll do a MLB Royals.
Okay,
question.
great. Let's go with Cags is selected to participate in the Home Run Derby, the 6th Royals player ever to be in the Derby. Can you name the other 5?
Oh, shoot. Oh, man, make it tough.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, one Salvi, that's easy.
Uh-huh.
There's been 5?
There have been 5 others, yeah. He'll be the third the third player on this specific roster that will have participated in the Home Run Derby.
Okay, so Bobby Witt. Yeah,
yep, Bobby, there's 2, so there's 3 others.
Bobby Witt. Old timers. Did they have it back when?
It started in the, mid-'80s?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Did Bo do it?
Bo was the first one ever.
Bo.
So there's 2 between Bo and Salvi.
Home run hitters.
If you tell me just one of these other 2, I'll give it to you.
What about Moose?
There you go, Moose in 2017. Do you know who the 5th one would have been?
Both animals.
What eras?
What's this question?
The 5 players that have participated in the Home Run Derby, Royals history.
Oh, Moose, Salvi, Jorge, right?
It's not Jorge.
No, not Jorge.
Moose, Salvi, Bobby, Bo. He named, and then one more.
Would it be like Steve Alboni?
It's since Bo, not but before Moose, but way closer to Bo than Moose. You know what it is? It's a guy that is so underrated in Royals history that when you look up record books and home runs and playing a specific outfield position, you're like, man, he was really good. And
every single time.
Nearly enough. Danny Tartable.
Danny Tartable
in 91.
Yep.
Bo Jackson, 89. Tartable, 91. Moose, 2017. Salvi, 21. Bobby, 24. And Cags, 26. So after having only 2 from 89 to 2016, they've had now 3 in the last 5 years of that one.
Should have been 4, you damn Robinson Cano.
Yeah, then we would have had to name 6 players because then Cags would have been the 7th. That's a winner, though. John, we'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Thank you, boys.
Absolutely. Let's sneak in one more before we go to break. Let's sneak in Charles. Charles, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Let's do some leisure.
All right, we got Name That War, we have Name That Movie, and we have riddles.
Do Name That War.
Name That War. All right. This epic conflict between England and France actually lasted 116 years. It began as a dispute over the French throne, but evolved into a broader national rivalry. The war heavily influenced the evolution of military technology, such as the English longbow and the use of cannons. This also resulted in the expulsion of the English from almost all of France. This was from 1337 to 1453, long war.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You said 150 years?
116 years.
116 years.
France and England just hated each other, huh?
Apparently they did. It's almost like the French helped the Americans beat England.
That's a long war, too.
Well, I mean, yeah. It's like a century.
I want to say it was the 100 Years' War.
Yeah, it was, which is funny because it was 116.
I was going to say, it's kind of like conferences in America. You just come up with a number, and then it's never actually what it is.
The Big 12 with the Big 10, the Big 10 with 20 teams.
The Big 100 with 116.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, on to the sports side. We've got Major League Baseball. We've got World Cup and World Cup.
Two World Cup.
You want to do World Cup? Which one, the knockout round or the general World Cup?
Just general.
All right. Let's see. All right. Which team holds the record for the most World Cup titles? Let's just get this one because we got to go to break.
Most World Cup titles.
Yep, most World Cups. People have compared them now to like the Indiana of countries in the World Cup because of a dominant run and still considered a dominant country, but hasn't necessarily shown up in these runs of World Cups.
I think it's Brazil, isn't it?
Brazil is correct. It is Brazil with 5 of them, but it's been a while. It's been like once in like the last, 100-year war since they've gone to the round of 8. So, all right, that's a winner. We'll put you on hold to get your information. Congratulations. Well done. We take a timeout. We come back, continue rolling more zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
913-381-810, playing a little sports or leisure. Heading up until 2 o'clock. Swearing Petro was there in Tahoe. Well, Rob Riggle today scheduled to talk with him in Papa. Not up in here. Scheduled to talk to Seren today in Tahoe along with Trey Wingo, Adam Thielen, and whoever else stops by, because you never know when you're in Tahoe that people just randomly can stop by. Like yesterday, he was talking to Grunhard here, and Taylor Twellman stopped by. And so then, when that happens, sorry, Grunny. And look, it didn't take us long to rebuild the desk here when they had on Taylor Twellman and had Grunny take a back seat for a segment or so. So it wasn't, Grunny's reaction wasn't that big of a deal, okay? Because we came together as a team and rebuilt the whole thing. So it was fine. 913-381-810, playing a little sports or leisure. Let's go back to the phone lines. Cajun waiting patiently to play some sports or leisure. Cajun, which side would you like to start with, sir?
I'll start with leisure, but may I suggest a rule change to the game?
Please, yeah.
No more hints for Dirty Harry quotes, man.
What do you mean?
Come on.
I agree.
No
more synonyms used either.
I felt bad. Cajun, I felt bad.
I think we can go to I think we can go with the no more hints given for Dirty, or no more synonyms given for Dirty Harry. I agree with that one.
Schwarzenegger or Stallone or any of those guys.
That's true. That is true. I like it.
I've been meaning to ask you guys, have you seen the World War II POW movie about a soccer team starring Michael Caine, Pele, and Sylvester Stallone?
No.
It's called Victory. It's an awesome movie. It came on HBO back in the 80s.
I was honestly waiting for a joke. I was waiting for a bit to be done. I was waiting for Cajun to tell us. I was waiting for the punchline.
It was not a joke.
Escape to Victory?
Victory.
It's just called. Okay, there you go. Yep, it is. Yeah.
World War II POW movie, and they used the soccer team to try to escape.
Wow, nice. I like it. I'm gonna check that out.
Okay.
I'm in the soccer mood right now.
It's like the movie with Jim Brown in it in the 60s, the 70s, I guess.
The Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The great mention in Sleepless in Seattle about the guys crying about when he died. Or it wasn't Trini Lopez. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy sitting around the table crying about the Dirty Dozen when they all died.
Yeah. All right, so what side do you want to start with, Cajun? Let's see.
Leisure.
Leisure. To you, Sterling.
Name that war, name that movie, or riddles.
And if it's a Dirty Harry movie, you get no.
Movie.
Yeah, you get.
Either or.
Yeah, you get no hints on a Dirty Harry movie. It's a
name that war, no hints.
Continuation of the French Revolutionary Wars. This period of conflict saw French emperor attempt to conquer and dominate continental Europe. It involved a series of shifting coalitions against France, completely renewing and redrawing the map of Europe.
The Napoleonic Wars.
It sure was. I figured since Cajun French, thought that'd be apropos for you.
Yeah. Apropos.
Vive la France.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Laissez
I've
rouler.
got a French flag flying. I'm not even a soccer fan. I've got a French flag flying in my backyard right
French
now.
love their wars.
Yeah, well, revolutions and everything within themselves, with whoever else, it's fine. That's at 3 o'clock. Morocco and France. I'll be rooting for France. That's the team that
I might actually watch a soccer game.
Yeah, see, there you go. All right, on to the sports side. I'm assuming since you had that enthusiasm, you want a World Cup question? Or a U.S. men's national team question, or do you want a general baseball question?
Very little about soccer.
Okay. General baseball question for you?
General baseball.
All right, very good. Let's see. Bobby Witt Jr. over the weekend surpassing the 30 stolen base mark. It is the 5th consecutive year to start his career in which he's stolen 30 bases. So, all 5 years to start your career, 30 or more stolen bases. He is the 4th player since 1900, so the modern era of baseball, to have 30 or more stolen bases in their first 5 years in the majors. Cajun, name any of the other 3.
How about Ricky?
Ricky has done it, and not only did Ricky do it 5 years, Ricky did it 15 straight to start his career.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough record for Bobby to get to. He's going to have to do it for another 11 straight years after this year to get to 30. You want to throw a dart as to who the other 2 are?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay. I didn't know if maybe you want to throw a dart.
I have no idea.
Sterling, you want to throw a dart as to who the other ones?
Hold on. How about Barry Bonds?
It was not. It was not Barry Bonds. Not a bad guess, but not Barry Bonds. One of the players. One of the players did play at some point in his career for the Royals.
Harmon Killebrew.
Nope.
What's the question for time?
Ricky was the first one. So it's Bobby Witt, 5 consecutive years to start his career with 30 or more stolen bases. He's the 4th player to ever do that for 5 straight years. He said Ricky Henderson was correct. He did it the most at 15 straight. And the 2 other players, one at 7 straight and one at 8 straight. But they've been since Ricky.
Is one currently playing?
One, no, neither of them are currently playing.
Ronald Acuna.
One besides Ricky is a Hall of Famer. One, the other one besides the Hall of Famer played a little bit with the Royals, but after he had this run of, and he was based still with the Royals too, but after he had the crazy run of hundreds of bags. Nope. And the other one would have stolen some bases in August and told you about what it felt like in August in Kansas City while stealing bases. Ichiro at 8
the one
straight.
that played for KC.
Yep, between Ricky and Ichiro, this guy's first 5 years between there had 7
Carlos
straight.
Beltran then? I mean,
Nope.
Did he end
He
his
didn't do
career?
it with the Royals.
Okay, he didn't do it with the Royals.
Yeah, it was later on that he did it, that he played with the Royals for a couple of years. It was in the effort of saving time. It was Vince Coleman.
Oh, I wouldn't have got that. No.
Yep. Ricky Henderson, 15 straight. Vince Coleman, 7 straight. Ichiro, 8 straight. Bobby is working on year number 5.
Nice.
And already got year number 5. Next year, he'll be working on year number 6. Cajun's working on a winner. We'll put you on hold, Cajun, get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, you too.
Like a Kenny Lofton or a Juan Pierre would have done something like that.
Kenny Lofton, I'd have to go back and look as to why he didn't get there. But Kenny, if you look at the first 5 years of all time, like most stolen bases in a player's first 5 years in the modern era, so since 1900.
Sure.
I think Kenny Lofton might be 4th or 5th on
yeah,
that
I'm not
list
surprised. I mean,
of
he
most
was
stolen bases, but doesn't come into the
30
30 or more
and you
for the
always
first 5 years.
What's
So
hard is if the
could
guy
have had with 28.
or if he didn't start his season, if he came up
that's
halfway
right.
through,
That's
which
a good
is what
point, too.
happened.
So what did he steal his first
He
year?
played in 20 games.
Did he steal 30 after that the next 5 years?
66, 70, 60, 54, 75.
Yep.
So yeah, because he got called up. So
that's tough.
I was
though.
right. See?
Yeah.
I know ball.
Yep, that is tough. But you know what? You get called up. There you go. All right, let's go to Matt next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Matt, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Oh, what do we got left in leisure to start?
We have Name That War, we have Name That Movie, and we have riddles.
Name that riddle.
Name that war.
This was a devastating and complex continental conflict fought primarily in Central Europe, sparked by religious disputes between Catholics and Protestants within the Holy Roman Empire. It evolved into a political struggle for European homogeny, ultimately resulting up to 8 million casualties. This was from 1618 to 1648.
The Crusades.
No.
Ooh. Is that more specific? There were several.
Yeah, this is more specific. The Crusades were like in the 1300s, I think, or even before.
Well, that's 1600s. The War of the Roses.
Well, this was from 1618 to 1648.
This specific war?
Yeah. The dates mean something. How long it was means something.
Huh.
Jason, you got that one?
The 30 Years' War.
It was the 30 Years
There
War.
you
Yeah.
go. All right, very good. The 30 Years War. What are the odds? And that's actually stayed. That conference has stayed the same.
That was probably the hardest one, but then I go, if someone looks at the date, you'll.
Yeah, that's funny. Matt, that's the leisure side. What about the sports side? We've got Major League Baseball. We have World Cup, U.S. men's national team specific questions, and general World Cup questions.
Major League Baseball.
All right, these are all Royals specific that are left here. Okay. Let's go with, you know what, since we're on that stolen base category there, let's just go with this one. Who holds the Royals record for the most stolen bases in a player's first 5 years in their career as a Royal? So it would have to be like, Bobby has 178 right now. He does not hold the record. So this person's first 5 years in the majors, all with the Royals, holds the record for the most stolen bases in Royals history for a player's first 5 years. It'd be tough for Bobby to catch him. Bobby needs, let's see, he's at 178, so 22 to get him to 222. He would need, he'd need 38. Willie Wilson is correct. Bobby would need 38 more stolen bases to catch Willie Wilson, who, by the way, a player's first 5 years, he has the 14th most stolen bases in history. Willie Wilson, that's a winner. We will put you on hold, Matt. Get your information. Congratulations. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. 913-381-810. We take a timeout. We come back, wrap up the show next. I wrap things up here on this Thursday edition of the show. Coming up a little over an hour from now, France and Morocco will get underway. Surin is there in Tahoe. We have told you that coming up, already scheduled,